At the center of heaven and earth, within a secret world that has been opened, lies the common stronghold of several great eternal sects. Since the realization of the magic disaster by each eternal lord, many preparations were made in advance, such as merging the strongholds of several great eternal sects. Only in this way could all powers be united to resist the magic disaster. The fact has proven that this approach was correct. If the several great eternal sects had not merged in time, when the magic disaster descended, that demon god would first strike, source demons would rampage, and even if the several great eternal sects were not completely destroyed, one or two would surely perish. In the premise that the Eternal Lord cannot intervene, even with many 13th Order means of protection, such as 13th Order weapons, it would be very difficult for any single eternal sect to resist the rampage of the source demons. 13th Order weapons can only unleash their maximum power in the hands of a true Eternal Lord. Below the Eternal Lord, even holding a 13th Order weapon, the power wielded is limited. Recently, the frequency of the source demon's actions has increased, and I can feel the power of that demon god growing stronger. In the depths of the secret world, figures sat. Among them a man with an ancient face spoke. This man with an ancient face was the sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect, the most powerful cultivator within the great power of an eternal sect. But at this moment his expression was heavy. If worst comes to worst, we fight those demons. I refuse to believe that with the full strength of our eternal sects, we cannot suppress those source demons. A figure spoke with a tone of fury. Recklessly using all our resources can indeed clear out the source demons. But what about afterward? Once the resources are exhausted, but the source demons die, they will resurrect. How will we deal with the reborn source demons? Right, the demonic chi remains. The demons are immortal. Figures spoke, feeling frustrated. As high-ranking members of eternal sects, how glorious they were. Yet now they are forced to hide here. To clear out the magic disaster, that demon god must be suppressed. But to suppress the demon god with just us. Another sect master of an eternal sect spoke, aware of the power of the demon god. Without the Eternal Lord, there is nothing that can be done against that demon god. However, the eternal lords of various great eternal sects cannot intervene, thus creating a deadlock. Unless a new eternal lord is born, the current situation cannot be reversed. But is the birth of an eternal lord that easy? Especially with the pervasive demonic chi, making cultivation increasingly difficult. The hope of giving birth to an eternal lord became even more remote. At this moment, the sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect was slightly moved. Raising his right hand, a golden rune appeared. The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect pondered for a while, looking at the other figures and said, "Everyone, there is something that needs to be mentioned." The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect gave a brief explanation. What? At the edge of the world, a cultivator has emerged comparable to a source demon. He wants to trade with our eternal sects, hoping to obtain all the rune inheritances, including the rune inheritance created by the great eternal lords. Such arrogance! The rune inheritances of the eternal lords are our very foundation, not something to be given away lightly. And is that cultivator really on par with a source demon? Is it true? Figures conversed quickly, most expressing doubt about Lin Yuan's strength. On par with a source demon, the combat power of a source demon surpasses even that of the Eternal Sun. What could a cultivator outside the eternal sects have to match a source demon? The intelligence should be reliable. The strength of that cultivator is not likely to be significantly exaggerated. The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect pondered for a moment, speaking with certainty. The man with silver eyes was his disciple, and the sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect was well acquainted with this disciple, knowing he wouldn't exaggerate things deliberately. Since Lin Yuan's strength was affirmed to surpass that of the Eternal Sun, nearing or even matching a source demon, then it should not differ by much. The intelligence is reliable? The many figures exchanged glances. Outside the eternal sects, has such a strong figure really emerged? Actually, there's no need to be too surprised. The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect spoke, Before the great change in heaven and earth, the Eternal Lords arranged many measures, among them placing their inheritance entrances in various corners of the world. Upon these words, the figures suddenly understood. Indeed, in the eyes of the great Eternal Lords, combating the magic disaster relies very little on the eternal sex alone. The power of all cultivators in this world is needed to unite. Hence, the arrangements to place their inheritances across the world. If such a strong cultivator truly exists, then a trade might not be out of the question. A sect master of an eternal sect pondered, acknowledging that the foundational inheritances of various great eternal sects are indeed precious. But no matter how precious, it must be passed on. What do you all think? The sect master of the eternal infinite sect looked around. Lin Yuan sought the rune inheritances of all eternal sects. Therefore, this trade required the consent of the other sect masters of the eternal sects. No problem. But I want to see what that cultivator offers in exchange for our sect's foundational inheritances. Several sect masters of the eternal sects nodded. Then let us speak with him face to face. The sect master of the eternal infinite sect looked at the golden runes in front of him. Then he waved his hand. The golden runes trembled. Immediately, a scene was projected. It was the depths of the Qingyun Institute. The depths of the Qingyun Institute. The man with silver eyes stood obediently after contacting his sect master, waiting for a response. Lin Yuan wasn't in a hurry either. Involving all the rune inheritances of the eternal sect, it definitely won't be agreed to easily. Soon after, the blue rune in front of the man with silver eyes also started to tremble. An image appeared. It was the world where the major eternal sect strongholds were located at the center of the world. Sect Master. The man with silver eyes and the other two eternal envoys bowed quickly. Are you the one wanting to trade with our eternal sect? The sect master of the eternal infinite sect looked at Lin Yuan through the image created by the two communication runes. Yes. Lin Yuan smiled as he looked at the figures in the image. Since it's a trade, what can you offer? The sect master of the eternal infinite sect straightforwardly asked. The implication was that Lin Yuan's requests could be agreed to. I can help you. Deal with some source demons. Lin Yuan said with a smile. At the center of the world, most of the source demons were gathered. And these source demons were putting a lot of pressure on the several major eternal sects. Actually, even without discussing a trade with the eternal sect, Lin Yuan was already planning to deal with those source demons soon. Now, after opening his personal particle world, just killing those greater demons and ginormous demons wasn't enough. To more quickly complete the development of the infinite constant sand particle world, he could only try to kill source demons. Deal with some source demons? The sect master of the eternal infinite sect stared at Lin Yuan. The other figures in the image also looked at Lin Yuan. Do you have the strength to deal with source demons? And deal with some source demons. According to the man with silver eyes description, Lin Yuan's strength was comparable to a source demon. But being comparable to a source demon didn't mean he could handle a source demon. Source demons are immortal, but cultivators can be gravely injured and eroded by demonic qi. A cultivator whose strength is comparable to a source demon has only reached the source demon level in terms of attack methods, but to say to deal with source demons, and deal with some source demons? How is that possible? Risking one's life to hold off a source demon is already excellent. Lin Yuan smiled faintly, without explanation. Instead, he stood up slowly and took a step, instantly appearing in an area filled with swirling demonic qi, along with the three eternal envoys. Where is this? The man with silver eyes looked around. He could only deduce that they were no longer on the Qingyun Sacred Mountain. Could even be said they were extremely far from the Qingyun Sacred Mountain. In the image formed by the blue communication runes, the sect master of the eternal infinite sect and other sect masters of the eternal sects also sensed the change in location. However, before the sect masters of the eternal sects could say anything, they saw Lin Yuan stretch out his hand, gathering black and white auras, forming a yin-yang long sword. Then he casually waved it lightly. Whoosh! The endless demonic qi was torn apart, Where the black and white sword light passed, the demons dissolved without a struggle. No matter the greater demons or the ginormous demons, even a terrifying demon with strength reaching the source demon level, under the black and white sword light, crumbled like snow meeting sunshine. After one sword strike, where the eye could see, there was no trace of demonic chi or demons, only sword energy that shattered and dissolved everything. Lin Yuan extended his left hand, and when he retracted it, there was already a mass of extremely pure demonic chi, gained from slaying all the demons. Grasping the mass of demonic chi and casually absorbing it into his body, Lin Yuan glanced at the image formed by the blue communication runes. As if to say, "Is it enough?" The center of heaven and earth, a secret world. Silhouettes watched the scene within the images, their thoughts frozen in stupor. Even the sect masters of various eternal sects were left mind blank at this sight, unable to react for a long time. With just one sword strike, all demons in a vast area were swept away, including a source demon. Such power? Such power? Major demons and giant demons were one thing, but for a source demon to be so fragile under that sword? That was a source demon with power surpassing that of the Eternal Sun. Even several major eternal sects would need to expend a significant amount of foundation to slay a source demon. After the demon plague, most source demons converged in the center of heaven and earth, but a few still slumbered on all sides. This is not an illusion. Just now, I used an eternal treasure to perceive the heavens and the earth, and a terrifying strike erupted in that direction, matching that sword. At this moment, a sect master of an eternal sect exhaled deeply and spoke in a grave tone. The so-called eternal treasures are 13th-tier weapons left by various eternal lords, used as the foundation of the sect. Too frightening. Comparable to a source demon? This is comparable to a source demon. How could such a powerful cultivator be born in this world? After a moment, the figures suddenly reacted. Although separated by the image formed through communication runes, their perception of that sword was very vague. After all, not being present, it is possible to be deceived by illusions and such. But at the same time, the eternal treasures of various major sects almost simultaneously sensed a strike of extreme and terrifying power appearing at the same time period. This basically verified that the scene in the image was real. The power of this strike is basically equivalent to the strongest strike from our sect's foundation. The sect master of the eternal infinite sect murmured, looking incredulous. Wielding the strongest strike with the sect's foundation can just barely reach this level of power. But that comes with a price and decreases with each use. But Lin Yuan? It is unclear how much power Lin Yuan used to unleash that sword. But he surely paid no cost. From the moment he unleashed that sword to the end, Lin Yuan's aura remained unchanged, with no weakening at all. This means the strike is sustainable. At most, it just consumes more. How many times better is this compared to the eternal sects using their strongest strike from their foundation? Such a powerful cultivator? Many high-level figures of the eternal sects were visibly excited. Since the great change in heaven and earth, they have been in a kind of despair. Endless demons with demon gods watching from above. Even the eternal sects see little hope. They can only prolong their existence. But in Lin Yuan, they glimpsed hope for the first time. With such power, not to say invincible below demon gods, he can at least easily slay the majority of source demons. In contrast to the excitement among the high levels of many eternal sects in the secret world at the center of heaven and earth, the three eternal envoys, including the man with silver eyes present at the scene, were trembling in their hearts. The sword Lin Yuan unleashed did not target them, but merely watching that sword greatly impacted the three eternal envoys. Too strong. The man with silver eyes trembled in his heart. Originally, he thought Lin Yuan's power might rival a source demon. But now it seems, how much more does it do than just rival? They just watched as a source demon dissolved under that sword. The other two eternal envoys were equally overwhelmed. The pressure Lin Yuan exerted on the three envoys almost rivaled the eternal treasures in their sects. How is it? Lin Yuan stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the image formed by the green communication rune. Not long ago, the Taiyang divine spirit explored here and found a source demon slumbering in this area. But relying solely on the two primordial spirits and the avatar made it very difficult to perfectly suppress the source demon. Lin Yuan's avatar could rival a source demon, and the strength of the Tai-Yin and Taiyang primordial spirits surpassed that of a source demon. But defeating a source demon is easy. Suppressing it may involve variables. Suppression is far more difficult than defeat. Moreover, Lin Yuan wanted to suppress instantly. Otherwise, dragging it out could alert other source demons and even demon gods. So Lin Yuan's true body took action this time to solve the source demon and nearby demons and giants. No problem. We will immediately pass all rune inheritances and information regarding demons to you. On the other side of the image, the sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect made the decision without hesitation. The sect masters of the other major eternal sects had no objections. What objection could they have? With such a strong cultivator on their side, even if Lin Yuan refused to deal with the source demons, the various eternal sects would still present all their rune inheritances to Lin Yuan, all to increase the hope of Lin Yuan becoming an eternal lord. As long as Lin Yuan could become an eternal lord, he could cleanse this world of all demons. The silver-eyed man and the other two eternal envoys stood by obediently listening. At this moment, they also realized Lin Yuan's significance, potentially ending the demon calamity ravaging the world. A few dozen breaths later, the Eternal Infinite Sect and other eternal sects packaged all their rune Dao inheritances, including those left by eternal lords, and transmitted them via the green communication rune to Lin Yuan. Additionally, the eternal sect's knowledge about demons, especially intelligence regarding that specific demon god. How should I address you? The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect spoke with a slightly respectful tone. In this world, strength is revered. With Lin Yuan's power, not to mention in the current environment where the demon is rampant and the Eternal Lord cannot intervene. Even before the great transformation of the world, he ranked only below the Eternal Lord. When the sect masters of various eternal sects see Lin Yuan, naturally they must be very respectful. Strength is everything. With Lin Yuan's current combat strength, even the Eternal Sun would likely not withstand a single strike. As for the Eternal Lord would not interfere in matters below the third realm of freedom. And judging by Lin Yuan's displayed strength, the hope for him to become the Eternal Lord in the future is certainly much greater than other strong beings. Even if the Eternal Lord were to intervene, it would be to form a friendship. Call me Galaxy, Lin Yuan replied casually. Galaxy was his name within the Chaos Void, and it was used in the first source world. Now, he used it again in the second source world. Lord Galaxy, our sect's runic legacy is all here. If you have any other needs, you can contact us any time. The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect spoke respectfully. I will have this disciple follow you. He can contact me anytime. Lin Yuan glanced at the silver-eyed man. In fact, he could contact the sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect himself. But having others convey messages also works. Return. Lin Yuan waved his hand and took the silver-eyed man back to Qingyun Sacred Mountain. The three eternal envoys respectfully exited Qingyun Institute. At the highest point of Qingyun Sacred Mountain. That fluctuation? The sect master of Qingyun Saint Sect looked solemn. He too sensed the sword Lin Yuan had slashed out, but because the distance was too far, he could only perceive a trace. Even so, the sect master realized its terribleness. Suddenly, the sect master's expression shifted. The sect master looked toward the direction of Qingyun Institute, his gaze landing on the three eternal envoys. Envoys! The sect master's expression changed slightly. As a sect master, he naturally was familiar with the aura of eternal envoys. Swoosh! The sect master immediately appeared beside the three eternal envoys. Although, with Lin Yuan's protection, he did not regard the eternal envoys highly. But he had to maintain the dignity of the eternal sects, and considering Lin Yuan had no hostility toward them, he naturally stepped forward to greet them. Envoys! The The sect master approached, immediately greeting them with a hint of respect. "Don't call us envoys anymore." The silver-eyed man's heart was anxious. He immediately said, "The three of us, under the order of the sect master, are here to heed the instructions of Lord Galaxy." "Ah?" The sect master blinked. The so-called Lord Galaxy he naturally knew referred to Lin Yuan. But the three eternal envoys to follow Lin Yuan's instructions? Still under the mission of the sect master? The sect master's expression was bewildered. Deep within Qingyun Institute, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect and several other Eternal Sect masters meticulously organized and delivered their runic legacies to him. Although not yet comprehended, Lin Yuan anticipated these legacies would greatly assist him. However, Lin Yuan did not immediately comprehend these runic legacies. Instead, he began to review information on the demon god. Demon god, equivalent to an eternal lord without a spiritual will, with actual combat power essentially equal to a true eternal lord? Lin Yuan's expression was solemn. He had long suspected that the demon god corresponded to the 13-level time life form. But an eternal lord without a spiritual will? It should be the physical body of some 13-level time life form. An absence of spiritual will, yet able to rival a true eternal lord. Implying this 13-level time life form's physical body is incredibly strong. Solely relying on the physical body to rival other time life forms. One must know, for life forms, spiritual will is extremely important. The execution of various secret techniques requires spiritual will. Without spiritual will, having only a physical body, despite possessing immense strength, cannot truly be utilized. If the demon god truly lacks a spiritual will yet can rival an eternal lord, it can be predicted that when their spiritual will was intact, their power was at its zenith. Demon god. Demon disaster. Lin Yuan's thoughts turned. Vaguely sensing the demon disaster is quite complicated. No matter, let's improve strength first. Lin Yuan focused his mind, thus began comprehending the runic Tao legacies of various eternal sects. These runic Tao legacies, originating from various eternal lords, even included the legacy created by the Lord of Heaven Light. Not all eternal lords established eternal sects. Some wandered alone, yet their legacies were recorded by other eternal sects. While comprehending these runic legacies, Lin Yuan also began to act against the source demon. Firstly, to continuously open up his infinite constant sand particle world, using the source demon as the resource for creating the constant sand particle world, is highly efficient, far surpassing great demons and gigantic demons. Secondly, to fulfill transactions with various eternal sects. Thus, time slowly passed. 1,000 years went by in the blink of an eye. The Golden Mist Treasure Land. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged there. Not far away, irregular cracks connecting to the origin source of the source world were gradually healing completely. Is it over? Lin Yuan couldn't help but feel regret. Directly observing the operation of the source world's origin source greatly enhanced his understanding of his own Tao rules, all the time rapidly improving. Unfortunately, this opportunity could only be encountered at the birth of a new treasure land. The relationship between the treasure land and the source world is like that between a mother tree and its fruit. Before the fruit completely separates from the mother tree, through the connection between them, one can slightly observe the most essential area of the mother tree. Once completely detached, this connection breaks, and naturally, everything returns to its original state. Under normal circumstances, it takes several hundred to tens of thousands of years for a treasure land to completely sever its connection with the source world after its birth. The specific duration depends on the level of the treasure land. As a top-tier treasure land, the Golden Mist Treasure Land had maintained its connection with the source world for over 10,000 years. It's a pity that the crack passages connecting to the source world's origin cannot be forcibly opened. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Even ancestors, with their life levels, could directly sense the operation of the source world's origin. However, if one were to open the crack passage penetrating into the source world's origin, they would suffer the backlash from the entire source world. Such backlash is not something any lifespan can withstand for long. Of course, if Lin Yuan truly requested, the six ancestors would risk being suppressed by the backlash of the source world. They would forcibly open the crack passage connecting to the origin source land. But by doing so, Lin Yuan would owe a great debt of gratitude. Moreover, after over 10,000 years of comprehension, Lin Yuan believed he had reached the pinnacle in all aspects. Continuing to observe the operation of the source world's origin was far less beneficial than the previous 10,000 years. A millennium of arduous cultivation and seclusion has greatly enhanced me. Lin Yuan smiled. At his level, even 10,000 years, let alone billions or trillions of years, might leave one's strength stagnant. But Lin Yuan was different. His insight defied the heavens, coupled with the advantages accumulated from different dimensional spaces. His strength underwent a qualitative transformation over millennia. Time and space. Within Lin Yuan's sight, the time and space of the Golden Mist Treasure Land and that of the outer world were in perfect order, like fine threads running through the world. With a single thought, Lin Yuan could influence and control them. If he wished, he could trigger a time-space storm within the source world, annihilating 90% of the life forms. 2,000 years ago, Lin Yuan had achieved a complete transformation in understanding the spatio-temporal fusion rule, comprehending the space-time Great Tao. The space-time Great Tao, a realm one can only touch upon reaching the 13th tier. At this level, I am time and space are me. In the past, Shenhuang himself had reached the 9th realm's limit in terms of accumulation in time and space. After acquiring the 13th grade weapon, the Sky Void tripod, and observing its intricacies within, he barely stepped into the spatio-temporal fusion rule by half a step. But Lin Yuan had made a complete step forward, equaling temporal life in his understanding of time and space. Every dimension and dimensional plane has time and space. Time and space are the foundation of all heavens and the vast worlds. Lin Yuan continued scrutinizing the time-space lines within his vision, growing more amazed the more he observed. Countless time-space threads formed a kind of balance. It was because of this balance that a stable environment was created, giving birth to innumerable lives. The Supreme Origin Tao? Lin Yuan looked pensive. At his current level, he could already sense a force running through endless dimensional planes, maintaining the basic operation of all heavens and vast worlds. Although countless time-space threads show a single error, they would lead to disaster, yet over long epochs, without external interference, time and space remain exceedingly stable. Clearly, there is a higher power at play. This higher power is what the six ancestors referred to as the Supreme Origin Tao. Even the 13th grade temporal life forms are comprehending this Tao. My life level is still too low. Lin Yuan felt for a while and shook his head slightly. He could indeed perceive this all-pervading power, but it was still very vague. The Supreme Origin Tao is still far from me. With this energy, I might as well comprehend the Chaos Taiji Tao to the 3rd level. Lin Yuan's thoughts narrowed. 8,000 years ago, he had stepped into the 2nd realm in the Chaos Taiji Tao. 5,000 years ago, his comprehension of the Chaos Taiji Tao reached the pinnacle of the 2nd realm. Until now, he was still trapped at the pinnacle of the 2nd realm, just a half step away from the perfect 3rd realm. Compared to the elusive Supreme Origin Tao, realizing the 3rd level of the Chaos Taiji Tao was easier and more helpful for Lin Yuan. The first source world divides the road of chaotic evolutionary power into 3 levels. Among them, the 3rd level is the perfect realm. This source world, generally unsupported by an internal universe, compares to and matches the cultivators of the Chaos Void, depending on a higher-level chaotic evolutionary power road. The Chaos Taiji Tao is unknowably more potent than other chaotic evolutionary power paths. This premise alone is the Chaos Rule 2nd realm peak. Comprehending the Chaos Taiji Tao to the 3rd level is countless times harder than anyone else's chaotic evolutionary power road to the 3rd level. Even Lin Yuan was momentarily stuck at this bottleneck. Who? Lin Yuan's mind subtly shifted. He descended into his internal universe, overlooking the boundless internal universe. Now his internal universe was equivalent to the size of thousands of void domains. Vast and unending. Infinite void, 6th layer. Lin Yuan thought to himself. 6,000 years ago, he had achieved the 5th layer of this inheritance, stepping into the 6th layer. The 6th layer is also the upper limit of this inheritance. As for the 7th layer, even the creator of the inheritance, a temporal life form, never achieved it. It's merely a theoretical realm. What I've cultivated in the infinite void has already transcended the inheritance itself. Lin Yuan mused, originally the ultimate goal of the infinite void was the chaos void. But now Lin Yuan's inner universe has the ultimate goal of the legendary perfect world. For this, Lin Yuan absorbed the perfection and advantages of the first and second origin worlds of chaos void, eventually forming his current inner universe. Perhaps my current inner universe's limit is not the 7th layer, but the 8th, 9th, or even 10th layers. Lin Yuan thought silently. After achieving the 6th layer, the infinite void inheritance held little guidance for him. The path ahead required him to forge and create. This is the path every strong person must walk. Lin Yuan's martial arts evolution road is also how it came to be. My current strength. Lin Yuan was still somewhat uncertain. 10,000 years ago, he had little concept of his own strength, because not even a regular invincible great saint of the chaos void could withstand even one of his moves. And after 10,000 years of cultivation, Lin Yuan experienced another qualitative leap in various aspects, the 6th layer of infinite void, the 2nd layer of chaotic Taiji Dao, among others. Each aspect's improvement would exponentially increase Lin Yuan's strength. What's more, they combined together. The stronger the foundation accumulated, the more the leap when breaking through to the 13th stage. Lin Yuan thought internally. Breaking through from the 11th stage to the 12th involves infusion from the chaos void origin. The amount of infusion depends on the accumulation and foundation of the life form itself. The breakthrough from the 12th stage to the 13th is the same, so each birth of a temporal life form in the chaos void will cause phenomena spreading across thousands of void domains. I just wonder, when the time comes, can the chaos void origin bear the infusion for me? Lin Yuan's thoughts scattered. With his current foundational accumulation, if he really successfully steps into the 13th stage, the origin he could bear without emptying the chaos void would be equivalent to the total infused into dozens, even hundreds of temporal life forms. And even more, could the chaos void truly fill him at that time? Chaos void. Lin Yuan drifted along the chaos chi, arriving at a desolate void. It's here. Lin Yuan observed for a moment, then raised his hand and sliced. In an instant, time and space were split apart, and a postnatal universe was forming vast and mighty. The postnatal universe, different from the inner universe, was created by a supreme great saint, independent of the great saint himself. Even if the supreme great saint fell and died, the postnatal universe would not collapse. Of course, the postnatal universe cannot do as the inner universe does, able to exist as long as the cultivator lives. The postnatal universe, like a natural-born universe, will have a day of collapse, and its collapse will be total, unlike a natural-born universe which can regenerate after a great destruction. The Shenhuang universe opened by His Majesty the Shenhuang was like this, nearing collapse after millions of cosmic eras, finally coming forth due to the edge of time-space destruction. Creating a postnatal universe, experiencing a genesis, is also a way to refine one's understanding of rules and the Tao. Lin Yuan watched the postnatal universe gradually form, with many rules and principles beginning to operate, while he began setting up the environment he desired. Moreover, this postnatal universe can serve as a base for human civilization as well. Even in extreme situations, if I become trapped in a temporal cycle, it won't be immediate extinction. Lin Yuan planned far ahead. At this point, he needed to prepare certain things, such as preparing a fallback for human civilization. While Lin Yuan was present, no force in the chaos void dared provoke human civilization. But if he became trapped in a temporal cycle, the profound Shenhuang line and the magic Jade Tower line were both precedents. Lin Yuan naturally wanted to prepare more contingencies. After all, his rise was too rapid. Human civilization couldn't keep up with him at all. Until now, not even a single chaos realm has been born. With my methods, there's no need to arrange within those natural-born universes. Lin Yuan looked at the already mostly formed postnatal universe. Even for an invincible great saint, the postnatal universe they opened will eventually collapse one day. So those great saints typically set up arrangements within the natural-born universe to ensure their inheritance wouldn't die out with the collapse of the postnatal universe. For instance, his home universe's Shenhuang's secret realm and the robber clan's hut. The natural-born universe, protected by the chaos void, is absolutely safe, constantly regenerating, serving as the ideal guarantee for the continuous inheritance of power. But Lin Yuan didn't need such troubles. Because with Lin Yuan's current mastery and application of time and space, the postnatal universe he opened basically wouldn't have a day of collapse, able to coexist with the chaos void. The postnatal universe not collapsing, human civilization would have an absolutely safe base, securing the legacy of human civilization through generations with some additional restrictive methods. If the chaos void were to be destroyed, if that day truly comes, temporal lifeforms would be forced into dimensional gaps, where everything inside would be annihilated. And these backup plans were Lin Yuan's worst-case scenario, based on his inability to break through the temporal cycle. In fact, according to the timeline observed by the 6 ancestors of the first origin world, Lin Yuan's hope of successfully reaching the 13th stage was still very high. 10,000 years have passed, and the 6 ancestors have mostly let go of everything, constantly observing more of Lin Yuan's future timelines, and none have shown him trapped in a temporal cycle. Galaxy Chaos Continent. Galaxy. Galaxy. Shen Yuan Supreme and other supreme beings came to pay respects. Since Lin Yuan, the human civilization group has given birth to over 20 path-splitting realms. However, these path-splitting realms, in status, naturally couldn't compare with the 9 supreme beings like Xiaqin Supreme. The current cultivation environment for human civilization is too generous. During the home universe era, the human civilization struggled against the myriad clans, with supreme beings born amidst the blood rain. Galaxy, what do you want from us? Xiaqin Supreme looked at Lin Yuan and couldn't help but ask. Since entering the chaos void, Lin Yuan, the pillar of the group, managed almost nothing. Gathering them all here now clearly wasn't for a small matter. I have created 33 postnatal universes, scattered throughout the chaos void. Extract some evolutionary beings to send inside. Keep these 33 postnatal universes confidential. Don't let it leak outside, and choose the evolutionary beings to send in as much as possible from the first and second layers. Lin Yuan said. The 33 postnatal universes were Lin Yuan's preparation for the human civilization, representing the ultimate foundation. According to the rules Lin Yuan set, once he attempted the 13th stage, these universes could only be exited, not entered. Not only could one not enter, even human civilization's evolutionary beings couldn't lock onto the precise location coordinates of these 33 postnatal universes, as they were fused into the deepest part of the chaos void. No invincible great saint could approach. Only out, never in, and never facing a great destruction, the postnatal universes will continuously provide new blood for human civilization from the outside. Galaxy, what is this for? Shen Yuan Supreme faintly sensed something off. Specifically creating 33 postnatal universes and keeping it unspoken externally. It all seemed like making arrangements for an aftermath. The other supreme beings also looked at Lin Yuan with slight concern. At the same time, they had a faint suspicion in their hearts. The only possible reason for the Galaxy Great Saint to make such arrangements is that matter. Attempting the 13th stage. Don't worry. Lin Yuan's expression was calm as he glanced at the supreme beings. These supreme beings all came from his home universe, having watched Lin Yuan rise from weakness to invincibility, feeling not just reverence but kinship as well. So Lin Yuan comforted them slightly. This is merely preparation for the worst-case scenario, the second source world. In the center of the world, 4 or 5 towering source demons were fleeing, engulfed in incomparably dark and profound demonic chi. As source demons, second only to the demon god, since the demon catastrophe descended, such a disgraceful scene had never occurred, especially not with 4 or 5 source demons at once. Even when facing a strike from the Eternal Sect, the multitude of source demons would merely choose to temporarily avoid the sharp edge and retreat voluntarily. As for fleeing, Russell. At this moment, above the 4 or 5 source demons, a young man appeared quietly. Where can you escape to? Lin Yuan overlooked the 4 or 5 source demons. A stretch of the hand. Time and space were scooped up. The 4 or 5 source demons appeared in Lin Yuan's palm like 4 or 5 ants. Instantly, they were ground countless times by the Yin-Yang Taiji Great Grinding Disc, transforming into the most pure essence and flowing into Lin Yuan's most microscopic particle world within. The pure essence the 4 or 5 source demons turned into could be described as vast, and in an instant, more than trillions of particle worlds were opened, and Lin Yuan's aura invisibly rose a notch. Now the source demons in the central world are all hiding, hard to catch. After Lin Yuan smoothly refined the 4 or 5 source demons, he sighed inwardly. 10,000 years ago, Lin Yuan reached a deal with the powers of the Eternal Sect, promising to help them deal with the source demons. Since then, Lin Yuan began hunting those source demons from the edge regions of the world. In this source world, most of the source demons were gathered in the central world, but a small portion remained in the 4 corners of the world. Lin Yuan's initial targets were these source demons in the 4 corners of the world. 9,000 years ago, the source demons in the 4 corners of the world were almost completely hunted by Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan's target naturally shifted to the central world. There, more than 90% of the source demons were concentrated. And compared to the scattered source demons in the corners, encountering a group in the central world happened at least more frequently. 8,000 years ago, 3/10 of the source demons in the central world were hunted by Lin Yuan, and these source demons also realized something was amiss. Those source demons lacked thought and consciousness, they possessed instinct, and upon noticing the significant decrease in their companions, some source demons started to hide. Until now, besides the endless demonic qi, the terrifying aura of source demons in the central world was rarely seen, as they all hid away. Source demons originated from demonic qi, and with demonic qi pervasive throughout the world, if a source demon earnestly hid within it, even Lin Yuan couldn't extensively pinpoint and discover them. He could only probe bit by bit. In these 10,000 years of hunting, the particle worlds I have established occupy 99% of my body. Lin Yuan felt the mighty aura within his body and couldn't help but nod in satisfaction. The body contained limitless constant sand particles. Wanting to open a world within each particle required establishing infinite constant sand particle worlds. What is constant sand? Infinite in meaning. Infinite constant sand particle world signifies an endless number of particle worlds. These particle worlds rely on runes to operate, practicing the inheritance of the infinite void. It can be said that each particle world compares to the internal universe of a peerless great saint. Among the chaos void, the first source world, and the second source world's 3 true bodies, the strongest must be this one. Lin Yuan mused silently in his heart. Purely in terms of power, even if combining the true bodies of the chaos void and the first source world, then enhancing them tenfold, they would not match the true body of the second source world. Close to completing the opening of infinite constant sand particle worlds, Lin Yuan felt that he now had the capacity to contend with a 13th level time life form. So far, there's been no major problem with opening particle worlds. Once it's thoroughly completed, it can be spread to the other 2 true bodies. Lin Yuan pondered secretly. Establishing a world from a particle, doing it once or twice might be simple, but opening infinite constant sand particle worlds. If a mistake occurs, it could mean the collapse of the true body. Therefore, Lin Yuan is currently only attempting it on the 3rd true body. Only when this true body completely walks this path, confirming no hidden dangers or doubts, will it be generalized on the other 2 true bodies. As for whether it would waste time, Lin Yuan, who has already completed the infinite constant sand particle worlds once, wouldn't need much time to do it again. The current constraint on Lin Yuan's speed in opening particle worlds is resources. And now, in the chaos void and the first source world, the 2 true bodies are already gathering a large amount of resources. As long as the 3rd true body succeeds, the completion of infinite constant sand particle worlds on the other 2 true bodies can be realized in a short time. In these 10,000 years, besides continuously hunting source demons, I comprehended all the rune inheritances of the eternal sect, absorbing and digesting the paths taken by the eternal lords. Otherwise, it would be impossible to open particle worlds so rapidly. Lin Yuan nodded slightly. The operation of the infinite constant sand particle worlds within his body required the support of the rune Dao. Opening more particle worlds demands a higher understanding of the rune Dao. Otherwise, maintaining the current 99% infinite constant sand particle worlds would have been impossible with Lin Yuan's rune comprehension from 10,000 years ago. Runes. Lin Yuan thought of the inheritance created by the Lord of Heaven Light. This inheritance aids in breaking through to the 13th level, consisting of 5 stages. 10,000 years ago, Lin Yuan had cultivated to the 4th stage. Now, millennia later, Lin Yuan had already entered the 5th stage long ago. However, the 5th stage is exceptionally profound, essentially equivalent to the Lord of Heaven Light's most fundamental understanding of runes. Even for Lin Yuan, it remains yet to be fully comprehended. If the 4th stage allows everything seen and felt to be runes, all usable for me, then the 5th level of this inheritance is that with a thought, runes are formed. In short, cultivators who comprehend this level have mastered runes beyond the limitations of form and formlessness. As long as they think, they can gather runes. No wonder the Lord of Heaven Light is confident that comprehending this inheritance will significantly increase the hope of becoming the Eternal Lord. Now it seems, it's far more than just significant. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. With a thought, runes are formed, which means even in a time loop, the power of the runes can be used effortlessly, akin to having a machine gun with infinite bullets in the Stone Age. Doesn't that make one invincible? However, for beings below the 13th level, comprehending this inheritance is extremely difficult. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Even eternal lords are mostly stuck at the 4th level. Lin Yuan, having gathered all rune inheritances from this Feng Yuan world and possessing against heaven's understanding, spent tens of thousands of years, yet has not fully comprehended the 5th level. It can be imagined how difficult it is for beings below the Eternal Lord to understand this inheritance compared to becoming an Eternal Lord. At least a significant portion of the Eternal Lords have not fully comprehended this inheritance. But I'm close. Lin Yuan's thoughts gathered. Then he took a step forward and disappeared from his place. Secret World. Lin Yuan appeared. The secret world was originally the stronghold jointly established by the major forces of the Eternal Sect as a last retreat. However, as Lin Yuan continued to hunt the source demons, causing the number of source demons in the center of the world to plummet, the secret world no longer needs to defend against them. Now, the secret world has begun to open to the outside, and disciples of various eternal sects have started to explore various parts of the outside world. Lord Galaxy, the sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect, and others immediately greeted Lin Yuan with respect. 10,000 years ago, after Lin Yuan displayed the power of a single sword, the sect masters of several eternal sects realized that the pressure they would face in the future might be greatly reduced. But what all the sect leaders did not expect was that in just 10,000 years, the situation between the cultivators and demons at the world's center completely reversed. 10,000 years ago, source demons would attack the secret world every now and then. But 10,000 years later, not a single source demon could be seen in the world's center. Whenever a source demon appears, it would be quickly suppressed by Lin Yuan. Because of Lin Yuan, the current major eternal sects feel an unprecedented ease. If not for the endless demonic chi still permeating the outside, they might even think they have returned to the time before the great change in the world. Lord Galaxy, the demonic chi fluctuation detected by the Eternal Treasure, the sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect probed. Indeed, there were a few source demons, and they've been dealt with. Lin Yuan nodded. He could accurately lock onto the position of the 4 or 5 source demons he just hunted, mainly relying on the Eternal Treasure specifically used by the Eternal Sect to observe the 4 directions of the world. This Eternal Treasure was specifically refined by Eternal Lords before the great change in the world, capable of detecting subtle demonic chi fluctuations. Originally, such Eternal Treasures were used to defend against source demon attacks. The gathering of source demons would inevitably cause demonic chi fluctuations, and detecting them through the eternal treasure was equivalent to having a defense. However, since Lin Yuan began hunting source demons, these eternal treasures meant for defense have been used to chase down the source demons instead. Are there any other special demonic qi fluctuations? Lin Yuan inquired proactively. He has opened up 99% of the infinite constant sand particle world, with just a tiny bit left to complete it entirely. Not at the moment. The sect master of the eternal infinite sextone was complex. The terrifying source demons seemed like mere chicks to Lin Yuan. But there's one more thing that needs to be told to Lord Galaxy. The sect master of the eternal infinite sect spoke solemnly. Recently, the eternal treasure observed that all the demonic qi in this world is gathering in a certain fluctuation. Even source demons can only attract a portion of the demonic qi at most. But all the demonic qi gathering in fluctuation? Do you mean the demon god? Lin Yuan's tone was calm. Yes. The demon god spends most of the time asleep, but due to Lord Galaxy's hunting, the significant decrease in source demon numbers might have already alerted the demon god. The sect master of the eternal infinite sect looked grave. Since the world's great change, the demon god only acted once. That was at the beginning of the world's great change. After that, the demon god was either asleep or occasionally woke to overlook the major eternal sects, then continued to sleep. Yes, I understand. Lin Yuan nodded. Hunting source demons and alarming the demon god is an inevitable situation. Even if Lin Yuan slows down the pace of hunting source demons, as long as the number of source demons drops to a certain extent, it will still draw the demon god's attention. Lin Yuan clasped his hands behind his back. His gaze passed through the secret world, looking at the vast demonic qi at the world's center. His gaze contained a hint of expectation. To measure the power of a 13th-level demon god with the infinite constant sand particle world. After 10,000 years of arduous cultivation, Lin Yuan had reached almost the pinnacle in all aspects. Even the grand goal of opening up his own infinite constant sand particle world had been 99% completed. Lin Yuan had completely lost the concept of the strength of his true form in this source world. 1,000 years ago, Lin Yuan had to spend some effort to suppress a source demon, but merely within 1,000 years. 9,000 years ago, it became much easier for Lin Yuan to suppress a source demon. A mere thought and the manipulation of the outer universe sufficed. For Lin Yuan, the only measure of his own strength was the demon god possessing 13th layer combat power. As for the chaos void, the time life of the first source world, the true forms in these two-dimensional spaces had yet to develop their own particle worlds. Far from reaching peak strength. Impossible to make an accurate assessment. Hence, Lin Yuan had high expectations for the demon god of this Fang Yuan world. At least he could gain an understanding of his direct combat power gap with a 13th layer time life by engaging the demon god. Indeed, it was a direct combat power gap. For a normal 13th layer time life, what is the most powerful means? Physical constitution? Secret technique divine skills? Will and soul? None of these. The most powerful means for a 13th layer time life compared to a 12th layer and lower life is the ability to observe many future timelines. By watching future timelines, a 13th layer time life may rarely make a move, but once it does, it is almost certain, if not entirely. For example, the 6 progenitors of the first source world would never choose to stand in opposition to Lin Yuan, but rather would try to foster good relations. This is the greatest advantage of a 13th layer time life. From many observed timelines, it chooses the future most favorable for itself. The demon god of this Fang Yuan world lacks the mental will to observe future timelines. It wouldn't just glance at Lin Yuan and then turn around to flee, or hide in the dark and never show itself, depriving Lin Yuan of a direct confrontation. Though Lin Yuan contemplates engaging the demon god outright, he wouldn't actively seek out the demon god, as this existence, comparable to the 13th layer, might possess hidden means. Unless absolutely necessary, Lin Yuan does not intend to contact the demon god before reaching the 13th layer. Lin Yuan has always preferred overpowering the weak with strength, sweeping through obstacles. As for the idea of the weak defeating the strong, or even risking it all, too risky, not in line with Lin Yuan's usual approach. Let me fully open the infinite constant sand particle world first. Lin Yuan quietly thought to himself. Opening the infinite constant sand particle world originated from Lin Yuan studying the flesh of an abyss dragon from the first source world, coupled with the infinite void legacy from the chaos void, and various methods from the rune Tao of the second source world. It could be considered one of the most powerful foundations at the moment. Once the infinite constant sand particle world was fully developed, every particle world resonating, the unleashed power would surpass the current 99% completion by tenfold, if not 100-fold. Only then would Lin Yuan have the confidence to face the demon god directly. Furthermore, if the chaotic Taiji Dao is cultivated to the third layer, Lin Yuan's strength would also receive a significant boost, but compared to the development of the infinite constant sand particle world, the chaotic Taiji Dao in the third layer comes with many uncertainties. Opening the infinite constant sand particle world only requires sufficient resources. Resources. Lin Yuan slightly furrowed his brows. In developing the current 99% of the infinite constant sand particle world, Lin Yuan not only hunted numerous source demons at the center of heaven and earth. Even the foundational resources of several major eternal sects were almost entirely absorbed by Lin Yuan. Since the great change of heaven and earth, demonic qi has been pervasive, and this Fang Yuan world's many sustainable regenerative resources have been eroded by demonic qi, coupled with numerous eternal sects expending without replenishment over the long years. The current storage resources of each major eternal sect are not plentiful. Most have already been taken by Lin Yuan. Of course, besides the obvious foundational resources, the major eternal sects also have their last resort foundational resources, but the latter ties into the final defense methods of the eternal sect forces. For instance, the vast energy needed to wield those few eternal treasures. Lin Yuan felt uneasy to request those. Given the current situation with a demon god potentially descending at any time, if these last resort resources were lost, it is uncertain whether the major eternal sect forces could withstand the demon god. Still must rely on source demons. Lin Yuan thought internally. The complete development of the infinite constant sand world would likely depend on the source demons. Source demons being immortal, those killed by Lin Yuan did not actually perish completely. They simply retreated to another location to quickly recover. Once the first batch of hunted source demons have fully recovered, Lin Yuan could commence a second round of hunting. It's simply a matter of waiting thousands to tens of thousands of years more. Hope before the demon god descends. I can completely develop the infinite constant sand particle world. Scenes involving the demon god emerged in Lin Yuan's mind. Before the great transformation of heaven and earth in this Fang Yuan world, the demon god once made an appearance. The images from back then were recorded and duplicated by the major eternal sects. Lin Yuan has watched these many times over the years. In the images, at first endless demonic qi filled the skies. The major eternal sect forces, having prepared in advance, immediately activated their own eternal treasures, intending to dispel the demonic qi as quickly as possible. In the future timelines observed by the eternal lords, if all demonic qi could be dispelled at the first sign of a demonic disaster, then the situation we face next will be much calmer. Whether it's demon-spirited, great demon, or even source demon, their numbers will be significantly less. But right after, the demon god appeared. Its face was blurred, its expression indifferent, its eyes vacant, sporting a single horn and dressed in a black robe. The black robe embodied endless darkness, as if all the demonic qi in the world emanated from this robe. Behind it, a sturdy, pitch-black tail extended across heaven and earth. Just by watching the recorded images from several major eternal sects, Lin Yuan could feel the demon god's might. And precisely because of the demon god's appearance, it shattered the intention of several major eternal sects to disperse the demonic qi. It merely took a few steps forward, causing the eternal treasures of several major eternal sect forces to retreat. The deep dark demonic qi swept in. From then on, This source world was completely shrouded in endless demonic chi. This was the only scene where the demon god took action. After that, the demon god vanished except for the forces of several major eternal sects, with the eternal treasures vaguely sensing that the demon god had not moved far, remaining still in the center of heaven and earth. No one had ever seen the demon god continue to take action. According to the information left by various eternal lords, the demon god's main focus, or instinct, was used to confront the source world. The demonic chi corroded the source world, requiring suppression of the source world consciousness, and during its disappearance and slumber, this was mainly its focus. As for the outside world, as long as the forces of several major eternal sects do not cause too much commotion, the demon god will not take action. After all, several major eternal sect forces have left behind various arrangements by the eternal lords. Wanting to completely destroy the former, even as the demon god, would take a considerable amount of time and energy. With this effort, it would be better to deepen the erosion of the source world. Lord Galaxy, we plan to recall all disciples exploring outside in the near future. The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect said softly. Since Lin Yuan took action, greatly reducing the number of source demons in the center of heaven and earth. The many disciples originally trapped in the sect's stronghold began to explore the outside world again. After all, Lin Yuan hunted not only source demons, but all demons gathering a bit of demonic chi were his hunting targets. This led to unusual safety outside, with those terrifying demons rarely seen. Lin Yuan nodded. The signs of the demon god's emergence are growing. At this time, having disciples continue to explore the outside world obviously carries great risk. Rather, recall them all, hide within the stronghold. Even if the demon god truly descends, there will be the ability to resist. Soon, one by one, disciples from the Eternal Sect exploring outside received the sect's recall order. The sect master wants us to return? Lord Galaxy has cleared away the demons outside. What's the point of returning? Indeed, with Lord Galaxy around, those demons barely have time to escape. Numerous disciples of the Eternal Sect discussed with each other. For thousands of years, Lin Yuan's existence held the supreme position among several major eternal sects. Some disciples, especially those who came after the great changes in heaven and earth, revered Lin Yuan even more than their own eternal lords. After the great changes in heaven and earth, the eternal lords had never acted, but in the recent thousands of years, Lin Yuan's actions were seen by all. That absolute suppression, as strong as source demons, seemed as fragile as ants before Lin Yuan's might, severely impacting countless disciples' understanding. Since the sect master wants us back, there must be a reason. Yes, we'd better obediently return. Just so we can be closer to Lord Galaxy. The numerous disciples dared not hesitate. They hurried back to the sect's stronghold. Even in the outside world filled with demonic chi, careful exploration revealed numerous epochs. And directly contacting the demonic chi was also beneficial for honing one's mind. Thus, the sect masters of the major eternal sects have silently allowed disciples to explore outside. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, several years went by. Lin Yuan appeared, flipped his right hand, suppressing two hidden source demons deep within time and space, then effortlessly refining them. At this rate, to complete the final 10% of establishing the infinite constant sand particle world, wouldn't it take hundreds or even thousands of years? Lin Yuan pondered in his heart. A tenth of the constant sand particle world is opened up, following Lin Yuan's efficiency over a previous 10,000 years. It should only take about 100 years. But bear in mind, the number of source demons in the center of the world is showing a decreasing trend. That is to say, finding the same number of source demons will become slower and slower. Eventually, it could take up to 1,000 years to complete the final tenth of the particle world. Take it slow, I'm not in a hurry. Lin Yuan reined in his thoughts, about to search around to see if there were any other hidden demons. At this moment, an invisible fluctuation caused all the demonic chi in the Feng Yuan world to ripple instantly. Like ripples suddenly stirred on a calm water surface, and as time passed, the ripples grew bigger bigger and bigger. What is this? Lin Yuan's expression turned solemn, and his figure silently vanished from the spot. Hidden world. The sect masters of the major eternal sects were sternly waiting. In the distance, an eternal treasure, round and square, was shining. A treasure created by several eternal lords working together, capable of observing the subtle changes in the whole source world. And at this moment, this eternal treasure trembled lightly, as in the center of the world, infinite demonic chi converged, and a figure swiftly emerged. Its face was blurred, with a detached expression, gaze hollow, having a single horn, dressed in black robes, the black robes containing endless darkness, as if all demonic chi in the world emanated from these black robes. Behind it, a thick, black tail spanned across the heavens and earth. Its appearance caused all demonic chi in the world to boil. The source demons lurking deep within the demonic chi immediately appeared, continually worshipping it. The demon god has emerged. The hearts of several sect masters from the eternal sects trembled uncontrollably. Countless millennia ago, it was precisely this existence that shattered the hope of the eternal sects to drive out the demonic chi using their eternal treasure. Bear in mind, when the world underwent great changes, it was when the eternal sects were at their strongest, yet this demon god forcibly suppressed them. If not for Lin Yuan's sudden emergence a millennium ago, the eternal sects would be distressed even under the pressure of the numerous source demons, not to mention facing the demon god. The demon god? Lin Yuan looked at the eternal treasure round and square in the distance. The treasure projected the demon god's figure, causing Lin Yuan's expression to reveal surprise. Such a powerful body? Lin Yuan thought secretly. Even observing indirectly through the eternal treasure, Lin Yuan could sense the exceedingly terrifying physique of the demon god. Just standing there, the invisible aura radiated, shaking the heavy space-time of the source world, and the pervading demonic chi was indeed part of this body's physique. How did such a powerful body come to be? What about its mind and will? Lin Yuan's thoughts spun. Undoubtedly, the demon god should also be a time life, a tremendously powerful one at that. Point is, only the body remains, and the body's instinct causes it to begin emanating demonic chi, eroding the entire source world. Hope it just wakes occasionally, and soon goes back to slumber. Several sect masters of the eternal sects prayed in their hearts, knowing there were times in the past when the demon god awakened, merely glanced at the heavens and earth, then fell back into slumber. The sects hoped everything would be just like before. Sigh. Demonic chi drifted. The demon god's expression detached, gaze hollow. After scanning around, bits and pieces of information flooded its mind. Compared to other large demons, source demons, the demon god's instinct is more specific, that is to thoroughly erode the entire source world. And eroding the source world divides into two parts. One is it instinctively suppressing the source world consciousness. The other is using the demonic chi to nurture tens of thousands of demons, which erode the source world itself. One internal, one external, to erode the source world as swiftly as possible. But this time upon awakening, the demon god was startled to find that the demons it nurtured with demonic chi were already diminutive. The vast majority of demons have returned to consciousness state, re-nurturing deep within the demonic chi. As for the remaining source demons, also trembling with fear, hiding away, daring not to continue eroding the world. Boom! The demon god stepped forward, appearing above the hidden world. Its hollow gaze looked down. Under the heavens, the demon god was suspended high. Within the hidden world, several sect masters and numerous high-ranking members became immediately tense. Even though the hidden world had been arranged by various eternal lords, with many strategies to handle unexpected situations. At this moment, everyone felt uncertain. After all, it was the demon god. The outbreak of demonic disaster, and even the entrapment of several eternal lords, were deeply connected to it. Don't worry. The great master of infinite has long left means. The demon god cannot break in. The sect master of the eternal infinite sect forced himself to calm down and spoke to everyone. Before the great change in heaven and earth, various eternal lords had seen a vast sea of future timelines. many of which included the demon god arriving outside the hidden world to attack. Arrangements had long been made for this. If the demon god could easily breach the hidden world and erase the arrangements left by the eternal lords, this Feng Yuan world would have already succumbed to endless demonic qi. How could it have lasted until now? Right? The future eternal lords must have foreseen this scene. We just need to wait patiently. The demon god will certainly leave after realizing it is helpless. Other sect masters from the eternal sect also nodded and said. At this moment, after the initial chaos, everyone quickly regained their composure. The demon god was undoubtedly terrifying. But the eternal lords were not so easy to deal with either. The clash between 13th Order time lives made it difficult to determine a winner in a short time. The greatest possibility was to continue the standoff, waiting for variables to appear. Lin Yuan stood nearby, not overly concerned. He was well aware of the defense capabilities of this hidden place. At least 11 defensive eternal treasures sheltered it. Even the demon god could not do anything in the short term. The next moment, the demon god beneath the heavens moved. He took 2 gentle steps, as black streams of air diffused between heaven and earth, sweeping in with a faint intent of extreme destruction and ruin, covering the hidden world. This move, Lin Yuan watched attentively. When the great change in heaven and earth occurred, the demon god relied on this move to smash several eternal sects' efforts to expel demonic qi. Those black streams appeared invisible and intangible, yet possessed strong corrosive and destructive ability, making even defensive eternal treasures retreat before them. The ominous sound echoed. A black vortex faintly formed outside the hidden world. The black vortex slowly rotated, swallowing large amounts of black streams. The eternal treasure of the master of black space? Lin Yuan's expression was thoughtful. That black vortex was an eternal treasure, originating from the eternal lord, master of black space. The master of black space, like the master of Wushan, was a solitary eternal lord who did not establish an eternal sect force. However, in the end, to help the beings of the Feng Yuan world resist the demonic disaster, he left numerous strategies in the hidden world. This continually devouring black vortex came from the master of black space. The black vortex, like an abyss, endlessly consumed the black streams. And protected by the black vortex, the hidden world naturally remained unmoved. If the black vortex could be used for attack, several eternal sects would not have lost so decisively in front of the demon god during the great change in heaven and earth. Under the heavens, the demon god looked down with empty eyes, feeling no disturbance towards the black vortex continually devouring black streams. The humming sounded, only to see the demon god's aura deepen, and the horn on his forehead suddenly condensed into an extremely heavy black. At the moment of condensation, time and space in all directions began to crumble and annihilate. This move, within the hidden world, several sect masters of the eternal sect showed slight unease. Among the arrangements left by various eternal lords, there were means to block this move from the demon god. But at present, this demon god first employed black streams, then profound black dots, making the sect masters feel uneasy. With a thud, the black dot from the horn of the demon god transformed into a deep black light, piercing towards the hidden world. Outside the hidden world, a blue barrier rose immediately, vast and mighty, blocking the deep black light. Under the heavens, the demon god's expression remained indifferent as the massive black tail behind him swung towards the hidden world. Though it was a simple swing without any rules or mysteries, space-time itself shattered, for under absolute power, any rules of the Great Path could easily be broken. Boom! The whole hidden world slightly trembled under the demon god's massive black tail, but soon recovered. The hidden world itself was a defensive eternal treasure, capable of greatly resisting external attacks, especially since this defensive treasure was designed specifically against the demon god. First were the black streams, then the black light from the horn. Finally was the swing of the massive tail. The demon god then launched dozens of attacks. Yet all were blocked by the defensive arrangements laid by various eternal lords within the hidden world. Upon witnessing this scene, numerous high-ranking members of the Eternal Sect heavily sighed in relief. It seems the Eternal Lords were truly a step ahead, for no matter how powerful the demon god might be, he was still tightly blocked by the arrangements of the Eternal Lords. Boom! Boom! Boom, boom, boom! The relentless attacks of the demon god, although unable to shake the hidden realm for the moment, caused aftershocks to spread in all directions. Such power! In a Supreme Saint sect, the sect master and several supreme elders watched the center of the realm in shock. Even from an infinite distance away, they could clearly feel the terrifying force spreading. It's the demon god. The demon god is making a move, the sect master of the Supreme Saint sect stated with certainty. They didn't have the eternal treasure to lock onto the demon god's aura, but with the current explosion of power, there was basically no other possibility besides the demon god. Let's hope the Eternal Sect can withstand it. The sect master of the Supreme Saint sect silently thought, not long ago, due to the appearance of Lord Galaxy, who swept through various demons, their Supreme Saint sect only barely caught a few breaths. Lord Galaxy won't be harmed, will he? The sect master's eyes revealed worry. With the demon god's emergence, it's estimated that before long, the giant evil of this realm would still have to rely on Lord Galaxy. As for those Eternal Sect forces, it would be extremely fortunate if they don't command saints and fighters from their Holy Sect and Supreme Saint Sect. Demon God. On Qingyun's sacred mountain, the sect master of the Holy Sect sensed the terrifying waves at the center of the realm from afar. Senior Galaxy shouldn't have gone to the center of the realm. Now that the demon god is acting, who knows if those few eternal sects can withstand it? The sect master sighed. Lin Yuan had sheltered Qingyun's Saint sect for thousands of years, and the sect master had long regarded Lin Yuan as an ancestor. Now the situation at the center of the realm, due to the demon god's actions, had become extremely dangerous. If anything perilous happened to Lin Yuan, the consequences would be so severe the sect master didn't dare to think about it. The arrival and continuous action of the demon god caused a stir among the Holy Sect and Supreme Saint sect scattered throughout the realm. But these forces could only pray silently in their hearts, praying that the Eternal Sect can persevere and that the demon god returns to slumber quickly. As for anything more, there was naturally nothing more to be done. With the foundation of the Holy Sect and Supreme Saint sect, even if they deployed all their forces, they probably couldn't approach the center of the realm, being suppressed by the endless demonic qi along the way. Hidden Realm. The several sect masters of the Eternal Sect and many high-ranking members were initially quite calm. So far, all of the demon god's attack methods had been within the predictions of the various Eternal Lords. And the deployment of the Hidden Realm also confirmed this. All the attacks of the demon god had been blocked. But as time passed, the expressions of the sect masters began to change. Because the demon god beneath the sky showed no signs of stopping, continuously launching attacks on the Hidden Realm. The sect masters were aware of their own situation. Although every strike from the demon god was blocked, the Hidden Realm itself seemed invulnerable. But every time a strike from the demon god was blocked, the consumption for the several eternal sects was terrifying. Whether it was the black hole vortex or the Azure barrier, they required enormous resources to function. According to the current intensity of the demon god's attacks, just a few million years or even tens of millions of years would exhaust the several eternal sects. By then, even with the many eternal treasures, there wouldn't be enough resources to activate them. How is this possible? The great Eternal Lords predicted demon god vision didn't include such prolonged attacks. Right, the longest attack duration was days, now it's been several months. Why is the demon god still attacking? The sect masters were starting to panic. Although the day of exhausting their foundation millions and tens of millions of years from now was still far off. If the demon god truly continued to attack relentlessly, the breach of the Hidden Realm would just be a matter of time. Lin Yuan stood quietly by, listening to the sect masters' hushed discussions. The sect masters did not avoid discussing such things with Lin Yuan present, so Lin Yuan understood the current situation. Many of the Eternal Lords didn't foresee the future timeline of the demon god's continuous attacks. Lin Yuan's expression showed contemplation. Did my presence lead to changes in the future timeline? Since Lin Yuan had descended over 10,000 years ago, the several eternal lords had long since been unable to interfere with the external realm, and observing the future timeline was based on before the great changes in the realm. Hence, they couldn't see traces of Lin Yuan's existence. They were even less able to observe the timeline where Lin Yuan cleared countless demons. Clearing countless demons caused the demon god to be enraged, abandoning its instinct to suppress the source world, attacking the hidden realm with full force. Lord Galaxy, deep within the hidden realm, there is a transmission array connecting the edges of the realm you should leave first. The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect turned and spoke to Lin Yuan. In many timelines seen by the Eternal Lords, there existed a scene of the hidden realm being breached. However, it was far in the distant future. Thus, based on this situation, some measures were taken. A transmission array was established to evacuate the sect's elites before the hidden realm was breached. Leave! Lin Yuan looked at the demon god standing beneath the sky outside, pondered for a moment and said, "Actually, it's not like there's no way to deal with the demon god." Secret world. The sect masters and many high-level members of the sects looked at Lin Yuan with slight astonishment. Is there a way to deal with the demon god? The demon god possesses the battle power of a 13th-tier eternal lord. Only an eternal lord of the same level can confront the demon god. Even now, as the secret world withstands the demon god's frenzied attacks. Fundamentally, it's by relying on the arrangements left by an eternal lord. Essentially, it is still the eternal lord and the demon god engaged in a confrontation. And such resistance is not true confrontation. Solely relying on the arrangements left by the eternal lord can only temporarily delay. Once the resources sustaining the operation of the many eternal treasures are exhausted, the consequences are obvious. But Lin Yuan says there is another way to deal with the demon god. Lord Galaxy, please tell us, what should we do? The sect masters only hesitated for a moment, then chose to trust Lin Yuan. Over the millennia, Lin Yuan's many actions had earned the trust of the sect masters. Give me all the foundational resources that drive the eternal treasures, Lin Yuan said. Now, the infinite constant sand particle world he has been developing is already 99% complete. The remaining 0.1% it's difficult to surpass in a short time. After all, in this Fang Yuan world, all the demons with a bit of strength have been hunted by Lin Yuan. This is also the key reason for the demon god's fury upon descending. As for absorbing and devouring demonic qi, the efficiency is too slow. And now the demon god has already descended. With a single thought controlling vast demonic qi, Lin Yuan can't manage to absorb and devour. And now Lin Yuan is trapped in the secret world. Outside is the demon god. Even in the worst case, spending hundreds or thousands of years to finish the last 0.1%, it's likely very hard to do. Given Lin Yuan's strength, if he dares to step out of the secret world, he will inevitably become the demon god's primary target of attack. There is simply no time to continue hunting other demons. Thinking it over, the hope for Lin Yuan to completely develop his infinite constant sand particle world can only be placed on the foundational resources of the major eternal sects, rather than consuming these resources in the demon god's incessant assaults. It's better to give them all to Lin Yuan, allowing him to complete the development of the infinite constant sand particle world. Once the particle world is successful, Lin Yuan's strength will soar, with full prospects of directly confronting the demon god. This could also prevent the secret world from being breached. This is also currently the most advantageous method Lin Yuan can think of for himself and the major eternal sects. Judging by the demon god's current means of attack outside, Lin Yuan is confident that once his particle world is successful, he can face the demon god head-on. Lord Galaxy wants all the foundational resources? The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect was startled. The other sect masters also wore serious expressions. These foundational resources are currently their hope of resisting the demon god. Even though they would be exhausted in millions or even tens of millions of years, they can hold on for that long. At least they can grant enough time for the elite of the major eternal sects to retreat. and give them all to Lin Yuan? If Lin Yuan can't hold off the demon god, the breach of the secret world would occur in the blink of an eye. That's right. Lin Yuan nodded. Actually, to complete the last 0.1%, aside from the current foundational resources of the Eternal Sect, there are other ways. For example, utilizing the Myriad Realms Gate to transport resources over. Providing resources from start to finish for Lin Yuan to develop the infinite constant sand particle world. The cost is too great for Lin Yuan to bear. But just for the last 0.1%. Lin Yuan can grit his teeth and accept it. But concerning the world-breaking origin force, it must be saved if possible. Lord Galaxy, are you confident? The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect asked cautiously. There should be no problem. Lin Yuan glanced at the demon god outside. If the infinite constant sand particle world is fully developed with the strength at that time, blocking the demon god should not be any problem. The other sect masters exchanged glances. This secret world was arranged by the many eternal lords. With the methods of the eternal lords, they couldn't withstand the demon god's millions or tens of millions of years of attacks. Yet Lin Yuan says there's no problem? If that is the case, these 6 eternal sources are entrusted to Lord Galaxy. The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect's expression fluctuated, but he finally spoke seriously. The sect masters behind him wanted to speak but stopped, ultimately saying nothing. For the Eternal Sect, whether supporting for millions or tens of millions of years or for 10 and 8 years, the difference is not significant. Rather than watching the secret world be trampled by the demon god, it's better to place their hopes on Lin Yuan. After all, the current situation has already surpassed the predictions of many eternal lords before the great change of heaven and earth. No eternal lord foresaw a future timeline that included the present situation. Therefore, the sect masters are also confused, not knowing how to respond. Swoosh! An inexplicable fluctuation emerged in the secret world. Immediately, 6 eternal sources, like suns, emerged from the deepest part of the secret world. It was precisely these 6 eternal sources that supported the operation of multiple defensive eternal treasures, blocking the demon god's repeated attacks from outside. Lin Yuan watched the 6 eternal sources emanating a vast aura of fluctuations. The eternal source, condensed by the power of an eternal lord, can fully activate the power of an eternal treasure. I only need 5. Lin Yuan did not hesitate. Every time the demon god attacks, the energy within the 6 eternal sources decreases. According to Lin Yuan's estimate, 4 eternal sources would be enough for him to finish the last 0.1% progress. The reason for requesting an extra one was to ensure absolute safety. The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect nodded. Since he plans to fully support Lin Yuan, even if Lin Yuan takes all 6 eternal sources, the sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect would not frown. Buzz. With a flip of his right hand, Lin Yuan caused 5 of the 6 floating eternal sources to silently vanish, incorporated into Lin Yuan's body. In an instant, the 5 eternal sources provided an ocean of energy, allowing Lin Yuan's remaining particles to rapidly open up new worlds. Rumble. As the 5 eternal sources disappeared, outside the secret world, several eternal treasures, which were resisting the demon god's attacks, suddenly saw their power plummet. Even though one eternal source still supplied energy, its instant supply efficiency could not compare to having all 6. Not good. The sect master's face changed dramatically. He had not anticipated this scene. Originally, he thought the 6 eternal sources could sustain the secret world for millions of years. One eternal source alone was more than enough for hundreds of thousands of years. However, losing the simultaneous supply of 6 eternal sources made it difficult for just one to maintain so many eternal treasures. Lin Yuan also noticed the change in the external eternal treasures. No need to worry. Lin Yuan glanced at the sect masters. Since he took 5 eternal sources, Lin Yuan would not take them for nothing. Even if the remaining 10% of particles were rapidly opening up, it did not affect Lin Yuan's ability to act. Leave the rest to me. Lin Yuan took a step forward and disappeared from the spot. before the sect masters and the sect leaders could react. The world outside was filled with a colossal figure standing tall. The calm-faced Lin Yuan stood beside the secret world, which had been opened by the eternal lords, only reaching his ankles. An invisible field descended and spread, forming barriers to actively block the attacks from the demon god. What? Lord Galaxy has gone out? The sect master and others were somewhat dazed. Lin Yuan had mentioned having a way to deal with the demon god, along with requesting the eternal sources. This led the sect masters to subconsciously speculate that Lin Yuan must have obtained a powerful eternal treasure. Requesting the eternal sources was to activate this eternal treasure. This was why the sect masters ultimately decided to pin their hopes on Lin Yuan. If it were indeed an extremely powerful eternal treasure, there would be a faint hope of resisting the demon god with ample eternal sources. But now, Lin Yuan went out himself to confront the demon god. Though at this moment Lin Yuan stood tall and majestic, with an aura vast and boundless. The enemy is the demon god, on par with a 13th tier eternal lord. His black streams first struck the barrier Lin Yuan had formed. This attack method was the demon god utilizing the eroding power of demonic chi to instinctively strike. The corrosive power of the black stream was hard for even eternal treasures to withstand for long, relying only on the master of black spaces methods to absorb and disintegrate through black hole vortices. Thus, Lin Yuan's cosmic barrier formed outside his body began to erode shortly after contact with the black stream, creating large holes. However, Lin Yuan's internal cosmic foundation was deep, and each hole created by the erosion was instantly repaired. This created a temporary balance between the black stream and the cosmic barrier Lin Yuan had formed. Under the sky, the previously attacking and instinctively enraged demon god suddenly paused, his hollow eyes fixed on Lin Yuan. Since the arrival of the demonic calamity, all eternal lords were trapped, and the demon god was invincible in this world, even the secret world created by the eternal lords. In the face of the demon god, it was just a hard shell only capable of passive defense. But the towering figure before him was the first life that could withstand his attack without retreating. What? Lord Galaxy blocked it? Inside the secret world, several sect masters were astounded. They could see that Lin Yuan was directly resisting the black stream without using any eternal treasures. The cosmic barrier in contact with the black stream began to erode and form large holes shortly after. It was clearly not an eternal treasure, since while eternal treasures could be corroded by the black stream, their defense could at least hold out for some time. Corroded shortly after contact? Could only be a technique Lin Yuan used. The rapid recovery after being corroded was also in direct confrontation with the black stream. Lord Galaxy could actually directly withstand a strike from the demon god? All the strong within the secret world found it unbelievable. The demon god is on par with a 13th tier eternal lord. If Lin Yuan could withstand a blow from the demon god, wouldn't that mean he could withstand a blow from an eternal lord? Not an eternal lord, yet capable of directly withstanding a blow from one? How is this possible? The power is very strong, and I must go all out to block it. Lin Yuan looked at the constantly disappearing and recovering cosmic barrier with a slightly serious expression. Since regaining his peak strength, he hadn't really had to go all out, except for once, in the trial space opened by the master of Wushan, where he unleashed a chaotic Taiji Dao sword in full force. But that was just a single move in full force, not an all-out effort. Now Lin Yuan was going all out, even revealing his true form. And compared to the full force at the trial space back then, how much more powerful is Lin Yuan now? Is this the means of a demon god? Lin Yuan looked at the demon god, intending to stall for time. Now, 5 eternal sources are continuously refining, with a large number of particle worlds being opened up every moment. Lin Yuan's strength is rapidly increasing, and he's naturally prepared to stall until the particle worlds are fully developed. Only by then can Lin Yuan's strength reach its peak, giving him the confidence to confront the demon god. As for now, from that previous strike, Lin Yuan knew that he wasn't currently a match for the demon god. Of course, not being a match doesn't mean he can't hold off. With Lin Yuan's current methods, if he focuses purely on defense, the demon god would find it difficult to deal with him in a short time. Boom! The demon god glanced at Lin Yuan momentarily, and then a deep, dark point formed at the single horn on its forehead. The next moment it shot towards Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan furrowed his brows. He wanted to drag out the time until he completely opened up the particle worlds. But the demon god wasn't a normal being. It only acted on instinct and naturally wouldn't waste words with Lin Yuan. The momentary pause earlier was merely out of surprise at Lin Yuan's existence. Sizzle! The deep, dark point pierced through the outer universe barrier and landed on Lin Yuan. Compared to the corrosive effect of the black aura, the deep, dark point shot from the single horn of the demon god was pure destructive force. The outer universe barrier didn't even have a chance to recover before it was penetrated. Lin Yuan's figure staggered back several steps, a wound appearing on his chest, yet it was quickly healing. Physical body divine ability, blood droplet rebirth. This life-saving divine ability hadn't been put to use for a long time. Luckily, I asked for an extra eternal source. Lin Yuan blocked the deep, dark point from the demon god, thinking to himself. This strike nearly pierced through Lin Yuan's physical body, reaching the point where recovery means had to be employed. With the eternal source present, the blood droplet rebirth divine skill could be continuously utilized. Unless Lin Yuan's entire body was obliterated in an instant, he wouldn't die. Lin Yuan once again looked at the demon god. Boom! He saw the enormous, pitch-black tail behind the demon god give a gentle shake, as if the heavens and earth were collapsing, lashing towards Lin Yuan. Previously, in the secret world, the power of the giant tail behind the demon god was also immense, almost causing the entire secret world to tremble slightly. Bang! The boundless force struck Lin Yuan's physical body. Lin Yuan condensed his outer universe, raising his defense to the highest level. Even so, he clearly felt the impact on his physical body, with numerous cracks appearing on the surface of each particle world. However, as blood droplet rebirth operated, all the cracks swiftly recovered and vanished. Lord Galaxy! In the secret world, all the strong figures were extremely shocked. If blocking one strike from the demon god could be considered a lucky fluke, then now Lord Galaxy continuously withstood 3 strikes from the demon god. These 3 strikes were meant for attacking the secret world, but they were all fended off. Even if Lord Galaxy appeared slightly miserable for it, the sect masters' hearts were filled with a tremendous storm. Sizzle, sizzle. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang, bang. What followed was the demon god launching a new round of attacks, starting with the black aura, then the deep, dark point, and finally the giant tail lashing, all falling on Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan did his utmost to withstand, striving to deflect the force, completely adopting a defensive stance, warding off the demon god's successive attacks. As the demon god attacked, it also looked down on Lin Yuan from a high vantage, its hollow eyes revealing a slight hint of interest. Compared to the tortoiseshell-like secret world, Lin Yuan was evidently more interesting now. At least while fending off its attacks, there was varying feedback in terms of injury. However, the next moment, just as the giant tail behind the demon god was about to lash Lin Yuan again, a giant hand suddenly grasped the demon god's giant tail. At the same time, Lin Yuan, who had been enduring the attacks, slowly stood up. Had enough yet? Lin Yuan's giant hand tightened around the giant tail, effortlessly suppressing the immense resistance. His aura entirely different from before, as if countless constant sand worlds resonated in unison. Then he fiercely pulled the giant tail back. Now it's my turn. Rumble. Accompanied by Lin Yuan's dragging, as if pulling the entire origin source world, the vast demonic chi permeated the 4 corners of heaven and earth, boiling simultaneously. Under the sky, the demon god, who had been overlooking from above, suddenly staggered. Finally, with a desperate struggle of its giant tail and the collaboration of the surrounding demonic chi, it forcibly broke free from Lin Yuan and returned to its rear. Ha ha ha! Quite some strength. Lin Yuan glanced at his right hand, its surface covered with densely packed black pits, all caused by the corrosion when gripping the giant tail. Was the demon god's giant tail so easy to grab? The intense backlash it generated was enough to give a 13th level time being a headache. Lin Yuan only dared to do this after completely establishing the infinite constant sand particle world, dividing the backlash among each particle world. Lord Galaxy actually, in the hidden world, several sect masters were utterly astonished. If earlier, Lin Yuan had merely been fully defending against the demon god's attack, then just now, by actively pulling the demon god's rear tail, causing its foundation to falter and almost dragging it away, meant Lin Yuan already possessed the front-facing strength to shake the demon god. Isn't Lord Galaxy an eternal lord? How could he possibly shake the demon god? The minds of many senior members of the Eternal Sect went blank. Barely blocking the demon god's attacks and counterattacking to shake it are entirely different matters. The latter means the strength difference with the demon god is not very large, and they can even be said to be on the same level. All around, the powerhouses of the Supreme Saint Sect and Holy Sect were also watching and peeking. After Lin Yuan revealed his towering true form, even at a great distance, he could still faintly observe and perceive the ongoing resistance against the demon god's attacks. Did Lord Galaxy shake the demon god? Isn't it said that the demon god is on par with an eternal lord? The numerous powerhouses were full of disbelief. Although the confrontation between Lin Yuan and the demon god involved countless mysteries in essence, what was displayed were just punches and kicks. It wasn't very difficult to distinguish. The black pits on the surface of his right hand quickly recovered. Lin Yuan looked at the demon god, his eyes filled with intense battle intent. After refining the eternal source, the infinite constant sand particle world in his body was completely established, with every particle world resonating with each other, unleashing power more than 10-fold to 100-fold stronger than before it was fully developed. Because of this, Lin Yuan was able to transition from barely resisting the demon god's attacks to directly shaking the demon god. Because if he now unleashed his full strength, he could indeed pose a threat to the demon god, not a life-and-death threat, but at least one that would make the opponent take him seriously. It would be rude not to reciprocate. Lin Yuan smiled at the somewhat dazed demon god. His figure directly merged into space-time, disappearing from where he stood. Seeing this, the demon god's hollow eyes became solemn. This world filled with demonic chi, which equated to the demon god's domain, where the demonic chi enveloped was within the demon god's control. But at the moment Lin Yuan disappeared, the demon god sensed losing control of the surrounding heaven and earth. This loss was forced with no warning. In the next moment, Lin Yuan's massive figure appeared next to the demon god, raising his hand for a slap. The demon god's body also began to quickly enlarge, becoming as tall as Lin Yuan, and its giant tail swung again, colliding with the slap from Lin Yuan. A tremendous amount of space-time and heaven and earth continuously annihilated, and this annihilation was foundational enough to cause irreversible impacts on the origin world, but neither Lin Yuan nor the demon god cared about this at the moment. Lin Yuan had not yet stepped into the 13th level, although his foundation was accumulated to the extreme. Facing a demon god on par with the Eternal Lord, naturally dared not hold back. Boom! This confrontation clearly favored the demon god, with Lin Yuan suddenly disappearing and then reappearing, catching the demon god off guard, who could only barely defend. The result was the demon god retreating several steps backwards. Before the demon god could react in any way, Lin Yuan's figure disappeared once again. Roar! With no hesitation, the demon god directly roared. This roar was like the wrath of heaven and earth, an apocalyptic roar. The black ripples formed by the roar swept towards all directions. The ground was torn apart by the roaring sound. Space-time collapsed in the roaring sound, and the central vast range of heaven and earth was affected by the roaring sound, continuously annihilating. As for the hidden world nearby, at the critical moment, another defense eternal treasure was activated. Coupled with the fact that the demon god's roar was not targeted at the hidden world, they barely managed to withstand it. As the black ripple spread, Lin Yuan's figure was forced to reveal itself, watching the demon god from afar. The power of the black ripples was strong, but it still had no effect on Lin Yuan at this moment. With the infinite constant sand particle world operating, the destructive force formed by the black ripples was instantly diluted. No matter how strong an attack, spread into infinite particles, when averaged across each particle world, posed much less threat. The roaring of the demon god. This is the roaring of the demon god's trump card killer move. In the hidden world, several sect masters watched in shock as the black ripples spread to all sides. In the various futures predicted by the Eternal Lords, when the demon god, with its instinctual consciousness, completely suppressed the origin world's consciousness, focusing on attacking the hidden world, this move would be used. According to the foresight of the Eternal Lords, when the demon god uses this move, the situation of this Feng Yuan world would be extremely dire. Because under the roaring of the demon god, even the hidden world, sheltered by multiple defensive eternal treasures, wouldn't hold out for long. After endless ages, the move the demon god would use has been forced out early by Lord Galaxy. The sect master of the eternal infinite sect trembled inside. Being close to the battle, he could naturally see the demon god's passive state. If the roaring of the demon god was not used, the demon god would be caught up in Lin Yuan's endless cycle of disappearing and appearing. By then, even if the demon god didn't fall into a complete disadvantage, it would lose the initiative. So powerful, the numerous elders and high-level personnel of the other sects swallowed hard. The more they knew, the more they could understand Lin Yuan's might. That's a demon god. What kind of strength does Lin Yuan possess to have a battle with the demon god that goes back and forth? In the distance, the demon god, who revealed Lin Yuan's form with its roar, stared blankly at Lin Yuan, then shook the giant tail behind it, striding towards Lin Yuan to attack. The way the demon god fights is exceedingly primitive, unlike Lin Yuan, who blends into time and space to disappear, reappearing beside its target. Yet with each step the demon god takes, the surrounding time and space gather more, along with the black ripple, formed by the formless and intangible roar of the demon god, still vibrating. Bang! Lin Yuan also charged forward in a big stride. The martial arts evolution road he follows excels in close combat, and with the infinite constant sand world completely opened, each punch and kick carries infinite power. He is even more fearless of this fighting style. In an instant, the two gigantic figures collided. Buzz! The demon god's eyes filled with endless darkness. Where it looked, the tangible and intangible both transforming into demonic chi. Inside Lin Yuan, countless particles lit up, the infinite constant sand particle world fully operating. Using the universe within his body as the core, the power unleashed continuously clashed and nullified the darkness in the demon god's eyes. Seizing the opportunity, Lin Yuan reached with his left hand towards the demon god's giant tail, trying to pull it up, but the demon god responded with another roar. The black ripple kept vibrating at close range. Even Lin Yuan had to divert some mental energy to resist. That move! In the hidden world, several sect masters saw the endless darkness in the demon god's eyes, which was not predicted by any of the Eternal Lords. Evidently, even at the end, across many future timelines, they did not force the demon god to use this move. And the darkness in the demon god's eyes seemed to be the most powerful, far surpassing the previous moves. Even Lin Yuan was cautiously defending against it. Lin Yuan once again grabbed the demon god's giant tail with his left hand, while his right hand locked onto the demon god's throat, intending to tear it apart. But then the demon god wrapped its arms around Lin Yuan, their auras violently clashing. Even the omnipresent demonic chi was completely obliterated under this intense vibration. The demon god's physical body was incredibly strong, even surpassing Lin Yuan. But Lin Yuan had the support of the infinite particle world and the universe within him, making the battle between the two become a deadlock for a moment. The roars continued. The black ripple kept sweeping through. The giant tail swung, striking towards Lin Yuan time and again. But Lin Yuan didn't mind at all. With deep reserves and multiple protective divine skills, even when injured, he could recover quickly, completely engaging in an exchange of injuries with the demon god. Of course, the demon god, with its endless demonic chi support, also barely sustained any injuries. But it became apparent that the demon god couldn't handle Lin Yuan at all. In the hidden world, many powerful beings silently watched the two gigantic figures fighting outside. Lord Galaxy can actually fight the demon god to this extent? Eternal Lord? Could Lord Galaxy indeed be an eternal lord? Several sect masters exchanged glances, initially certain that Lin Yuan was not an eternal lord. Because since the great changes in the world began, there had been no heavenly phenomena indicating the emergence of an eternal lord. But now they're not sure about Lin. Whoosh! In a space-time of collapse and destruction, the demon god, who had been fighting alongside Lin Yuan, suddenly swept its giant tail and rapidly retreated backward. Lin Yuan also halted, looking towards the demon god that stopped in the distance. Soon, under Lin Yuan's gaze, the demon god's figure dissolved directly, merging into the vast demonic chi surrounding them. The demon god retreated? Lin Yuan understood in his heart. Clearly, the demon god realized that continuing to fight with Lin Yuan in such a manner would only keep itself dragged on, not to mention destroying the hidden world or even using its own instinct to suppress the source world consciousness. At first, it kept attacking the hidden world because it saw the hope of destroying it, thinking it only needed to persist for millions or even tens of millions of years. But fighting with Lin Yuan? Following this trend, even after battling for billions or tens of billions of years, it wouldn't determine a victor. So it chose to retreat and leave directly. The demon god possessed no specific will or complex emotions such as pride. When the situation offered no advantage, it made decisions most beneficial for itself. That's fine too. Lin Yuan nodded slightly. In the hidden world, countless beings looked up, the disappearance of the demon god letting them more directly perceive Lin Yuan's vastness. His true form standing like a colossus, the terrifying aura flowing on his body after fighting the demon god, exuded immense oppression. Is it over? Several sect masters showed expressions of excitement. Outside the source world, in a twisted space-time, over a dozen towering figures stood here, their gazes occasionally glancing towards the distant source world. However, at this moment, the space surrounding the source world was filled with endless demonic chi, enveloping the entire source world like an endless darkness. Yet at this time, one of the towering figures suddenly changed expression, looking back towards the distant source world, its expression showing a trace of disbelief. What is that? Infinite. What have you discovered? The other towering figures turned their gaze. There were 13 towering figures in total, all of whom were 13 eternal lords. They were also the eternal lords who had vanished from the second source world where Lin Yuan had arrived before the great change of heaven and earth. The demonic chi has diluted somewhat. The first towering figure speaking had a solemn tone. He was the master of infinite, the founder of the eternal infinite sect. Since the birth of the source world, if the Lord of Heaven Light is considered the first eternal lord, then the Master of Infinite is the second eternal lord. The eternal infinite sect is also the most deeply founded of the 6 great eternal sects. The demonic chi has diluted? The 12 towering figures were slightly startled. The 13 eternal lords actively bore the majority of the magic disaster's source power, confronting it here, unable to intervene in the source world. If not for the 13 eternal lords, the source world would have been completely eroded at the time of the great change of heaven and earth. At that time, while the 13 eternal lords might survive, all beings of the source world would undoubtedly perish, causing the entire source world to prematurely step into ruin, leaving the timing of the next rebirth unknown. This result was nearly inevitable after the 13 eternal lords observed trillions of future timelines. The only hope was for the 13 eternal lords to willingly abandon everything in the source world, to restrain most of the source of the magic disaster, to delay as much as possible the complete erosion of the source world by demonic chi. And amid countless future timelines, after these 13 eternal lords chose to actively confine themselves here, there would be several timelines. A new eternal lord would emerge from the beings of the source world. The new Eternal Lord would clear the magic disaster, resist demonic chi erosion, and join forces with the 13 Eternal Lords, with a slim hope of completely saving the Source World. Overall, the possibility of the Source World's eventual salvation seemed near despondent. Could even be said there was hardly any hope. Yet the 13 Eternal Lords resolutely chose to take this path. As Eternal Lords, elevated in the hierarchy of time beings, they observed many timelines, but were not entirely void of emotion. They allowed their home world to experience a complete cycle of destruction, but absolutely did not wish to see it meet an early demise due to demonic chi erosion. Demonic chi thinning? The master of Wushan, a towering figure, carefully observed for a while before nodding and saying, "Indeed, it has become much thinner. What is truly happening?" According to the repeated observations and schemes by the 13 Eternal Lords before the Great Change, the current timeline should not present the thinning of demonic chi. Even though they were extraordinarily remote from the Source World at this moment, they could sense the thinning of demonic chi permeating inside and outside the Source World, indicating significant changes within the Source World. It shouldn't be, should it? Has something unpredictable occurred? The Master of Black Space spoke with a sense of veiled concern. The so-called unpredictable refers to future timelines that the 13 Eternal Lords have not observed. Even though the 13 Eternal Lords together observe the future, ultimately they are not perfect time beings of the fourth rank, unable to perceive all future timelines. The true future may not be among those they have observed. This is the unpredictable, and the unpredictable possesses no inherent good or bad. Could be good, could be bad. For instance, the thinning demonic chi right now. It might be favorable because the denser the demonic chi, the more terrifying it would erode the Source World. Thinning demonic chi slows the erosion of the Source World, improves the internal being's cultivation environment, and increases the chances for a new Eternal Lord to emerge. Yet perhaps it might also be a bad thing. Thinning demonic chi? Why thinning? Is it being absorbed and devoured by some existence? Who can absorb and devour demonic chi on such a large scale? Demon God? Demon God absorbs and devours demonic chi on such a large scale. Is it the final preparation for the complete erosion of the Source World? This would be bad. Since an unpredictable has occurred, I will watch the future timeline anew from the current point in time. The Master of Infinite pondered for a while before speaking. Even though the 13 Eternal Lords were confined here, they were not entirely idle and were continuously observing future timelines. It was just that the future timelines they observed, the starting point was fixed before the great change of heaven and earth in the distant past. At that time, the 13 Eternal Lords selected a large number of timelines, then observed them one by one, delving deeply into each timeline until the complete annihilation of the Source World. Even as time beings, observing timelines trillions of years in the future was quite exhausting, let alone choosing a large number of starting points to observe all at once. Since the great change of heaven and earth, an Eternal Lord has chosen a new starting point to observe future timelines, but the closest to the present was still 10,000 or million years ago. No Eternal Lords had observed the future from a starting point within 10,000 years. 10,000 years were far too brief for an Eternal Lord. Let me take a look. Before the Master of Infinite, the timeline unfolded anew. Since unforeseen changes had occurred in the Source World, observing from the current new starting point would inevitably reveal the impact of those changes on the future. He casually chose a timeline and observed for tens of thousands of years. The Master of Infinite then saw, in that future timeline, the distant Source World surrounded by boundless demonic chi, suddenly manifesting a black and white yin-yang Tai Chi diagram. Initially, the Tai Chi diagram was exceedingly small, but after merely several breaths, it became infinitely vast, enveloping the entire Source World. Rumble, rumble. The black and white yin-yang Tai Chi diagram spins, and the infinite demonic chi is being refined away. The demonic chi covering the entire Source World rapidly disappears. This Eternal Lord? Has a new Eternal Lord been born? Master of Infinite took a deep breath. In this timeline, the black and white yin-yang Tai Chi diagram, which will appear in 10,000 years and enshroud the entire source world, must be wielded by an eternal lord. Infinite, what did you see? The other eternal lords deduced from the changing expression of Master of Infinite that there was a change in the future timeline. A new change, different from all the future timelines they had previously observed. Let me have a look too. Master of Black Space also began to observe the new timeline. Master of Wushan did the same. The other eternal lords quickly started observing the new timeline as well. As beings of time, observing timelines is instinctual. After a short while, all the eternal lords opened their eyes, their expressions intense. Eternal Lord. A new eternal lord has been born. Indeed, a new eternal lord has thoroughly cleansed the demonic chi and saved the source world. One by one, the eternal lords exchanged glances, their expressions filled with excitement. Master of Infinite originally intended to follow the observed timeline to see more information about the newly born eternal lord. But the commotion from the other eternal lords made him realize something was amiss. You all. Master of Infinite stopped observing the future timeline and looked seriously at the other 12 eternal lords. Did you all see the birth of a new eternal lord? Master of Black Space and Master of Wushan, along with the other eternal lords, calmed their expressions at the words. I saw it. I saw it too. In the future I saw, 30,000 years from now, a black and white Taiji sword light, capable of severing everything, emerged and obliterated the infinite demonic chi. As each eternal lord spoke, the expressions of the other eternal lords began to slightly change. Each eternal lord saw a different future timeline. It was clearly different timelines, but in all the timelines the same event occurred. That is, a new eternal lord was born. The birth of a new eternal lord. It is a good thing. But the fact that all 13 eternal lords casually observing timelines saw this future is extremely shocking. Master of Infinite's thoughts raced. The other eternal lords also seemed grave. Soon, the many eternal lords gave up on deepening their observation of a particular timeline. Instead, they chose to observe as many timelines as possible. Moments later, the 13 eternal lords opened their eyes again. Impossible! All the eternal lords had incredulous expressions on their faces. Observing timelines after billions and billions of years requires effort and focus. But just observing timelines tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of years ahead is very easy. In a brief moment, the timelines observed by the 13 eternal lords added up to over 100,000. Without exception, in all future timelines, the source world will give birth to a new eternal lord, then cleanse all demonic chi and save the beings of the source world. The timelines previously observed by the eternal lords, millions, tens of millions, even billions of them, showed the source world being corrupted by demonic chi, heading towards complete destruction. But the timelines observed now showed the birth of a new eternal lord, saving the source world from the demonic chi's corruption. Such a completely opposite future made the 13 eternal lords feel incredulous. A new eternal lord is destined to be born? Can an eternal lord indeed be destined to be born? How is this possible? The eternal lords found it hard to believe. They vaguely realized that the newly born eternal lord might have an origin beyond imagination. The transformation of a time-based life form fundamentally has no foregone conclusion. Ultimately, it tests the cycle of time, where innate methods are essentially useless. Even if the Lord of Heaven Light left behind that transmission intending to break through the time cycle, cultivating it to the 5th level of perfection only enhances the probability of breaking through the time cycle. This is already the limit. As for the future they saw, even if not all futures, it is still extremely incredible. In any case, this newly born eternal Lord harbors no malice toward our hometown. The Master of Infinite pondered for a while and spoke in a deep voice. At least among the 100,000 future timelines they currently observed, a new eternal Lord is destined to be born, and this eternal Lord will certainly take action to cleanse the demonic chi. Indeed, the other eternal lords nodded. From this, it can be seen that the newly born eternal Lord likely shares the same deep affection for the source world as they do. The 13 eternal lords present, willing to be trapped here for countless ages for the faintest hope of the future. Also because of their affection for their hometown source world. Source world. Hidden world. Thank you, Lord Galaxy, for stepping in. Several sect masters spoke with excitement. Lin Yuan's power exceeded everyone's expectations, able to contend with the demon god head on without utilizing any eternal treasure. If not for Lin Yuan, the hidden world would have inevitably been breached under the demon god's continued assault. It's nothing. I couldn't possibly take those 5 eternal sources for free. Lin Yuan smiled and said, without those final 5 eternal sources for him to completely establish the constant sand particle world. Under the demon god's attack, Lin Yuan could only barely hold on, unable to resist, let alone force the demon god to retreat voluntarily. Barely holding on is not of great significance. With the demon god's relentless assault, Lin Yuan will eventually have lapses, and by then could be directly suppressed by the demon god. Merely 5 eternal sources, in exchange for Lord Galaxy's intervention, the cost is too little. An eternal sect master couldn't help but say, this is also the truth. 5 eternal sources, condensed at great cost by the eternal lords, should be more than enough to invite an eternal lord's intervention. But it depends on the timing. Before the cosmic changes, such a trade might stand. But after the cosmic changes, all the eternal lords vanished. Eternal level combat capability is scarce, and at this time, the willingness of an eternal lord to step in cannot be moved by merely 5 eternal sources. Lord Galaxy, have you become an eternal lord? At this moment, the sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect cautiously inquired. Upon hearing this, the other sect masters immediately listened attentively. They too were curious if Lin Yuan was now indeed an eternal lord. Logically, being able to fight with the demon god like that, who other than an eternal lord could do it? But since the cosmic changes, there had been no phenomena associated with the birth of an eternal lord. Moreover, before all the eternal lords vanished, surely no eternal level combat forces existed in the source world apart from the demon god. I am not an eternal lord, Lin Yuan directly stated. This point had no need to be concealed. With his current strength, there was no difference in being an eternal lord or not. Not an eternal lord? Receiving this answer, which had crossed their minds, the sect masters were profoundly shocked. Not an eternal lord, yet fighting the demon god to that extent? That demon god, do you know its origin? Lin Yuan did not explain much about his own strength, but directly asked. Through the battle with the demon god, Lin Yuan gained considerable understanding of the latter. However, the more he understood, the more surprised Lin Yuan became. He was certain that the demon god's former self must have been a 13-tier existence. But why would a 13-tier life form appear in the source world? And why wasn't it repelled by the source world? The origin of the demon god? The sect masters looked at each other, then replied, we do not know. Only that it is one of the main sources of the Magi disaster. The Eternal Lords didn't tell you? Lin Yuan asked. With the Eternal Lord's ability to observe timelines, they surely knew the demon god's true origin.
No.
The sect master of the Eternal Infinite Sect stated honestly. No. Lin Yuan was surprised in his heart. There are 2 possibilities. One is that the Eternal Lords themselves did not know the true origin of the demon god. The second is that the Eternal Lords knew the origin of the demon god but were unwilling to speak of it. Lin Yuan's gaze was deep, feeling the second possibility was more likely. What did the 14 Eternal Lords say to you before they vanished? Lin Yuan asked the sect masters casually. Based on the information Lin Yuan currently possessed, this Feng Yuan world, including the Lord of Heaven Light, had 14 Eternal Lords, which meant 14 beings of time. In comparison to the 6 progenitors of the first source world, the second source world was obviously much stronger. This was due to the first source world's age being far less than that of the second source world. As time flowed in the first source world, more beings of time would come into existence. Nothing. They only left behind various strategies to handle future situations. Sect Master of the Eternal Infinite Sect said. The other sect masters nodded in agreement. In fact, they had only had brief final interactions with 6 Eternal Lords, who were the founders of the 6 Eternal Sects. As for the other Eternal Lords, they were solitary figures beyond their reach. Lin Yuan didn't probe further. Clearly, these sect masters knew less than the golden figure in the trial space. It made sense, given the demon plague's constraints. Anything short of Eternal Lord-level knowledge was not very meaningful. Next, I will leave an avatar here. If the demon god appears again, I will intervene, Lin Yuan declared. Having promised protection for the hidden world, it was naturally fitting to act thoroughly. Of course, Lin Yuan speculated that the demon god would not reappear. After realizing he couldn't prevail against Lin Yuan, the demon god's full focus instinctively shifted to suppressing the source world's consciousness. Regarding the inside of the source world, if he could fully suppress the source world's consciousness, the demon god would replace it. At that time, his power would greatly increase. However, this day was estimated to be far off. If he could quickly suppress the source world's consciousness, the demon god wouldn't be in such haste to attack the hidden world. Thank you, Lord Galaxy. The sect masters expressed their gratitude. Lin Yuan's assurance removed their worries. Lin Yuan's true form left the hidden world, walking casually in various parts of heaven and earth. Innumerable demonic qi retreated quickly within 10,000 miles of Lin Yuan's presence. Still watching me? Lin Yuan vaguely sensed the demon god's gaze on him. The demon god. Lin Yuan's expression was contemplative, though he fought the demon god head-on, even forcing the demon god to retreat. Lin Yuan did not feel any satisfaction. Fighting the demon god did not mean Lin Yuan could combat other time beings. Time beings observe multiple future timelines and wouldn't give Lin Yuan a chance for direct confrontation. As for the demon god, his power and lethality were akin to true time beings. But possessing power alone, unable to observe timelines, any time being could plot against him successfully. The most terrifying aspect of a time being was foreknowledge, and the ability to actively choose their desired future. Lin Yuan's expression was solemn. In close combat with the demon god, he was acutely aware of the demon god's fearsome nature, primarily the terrifying aspect of the demon god's physical form. Throughout the encounter, the demon god didn't display any secret techniques or divine skills, relying solely on physical instincts to fight Lin Yuan. Even so, he possessed the frontal combat strength of a 13th order time being. Imagine, if the demon god could unleash and operate secret techniques, amplifying his power by hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of times. Even if Lin Yuan fully developed the infinite constant sand particle world, he would be far from a match for the demon god. Not using secret techniques, not deploying mind-will secret skills, solely relying on physical instincts, and yet possessing such strength? Lin Yuan found it hard to believe. The martial arts evolution road specializes in physical prowess, but it can't compare to the demon god's physical form. If the demon god is also a time being who, due to certain reasons, lost mind and will, causing him to act purely on physical instincts, how powerful was he at his peak? Lin Yuan's thoughts expanded. Though it has nothing to do with me. Now that the infinite constant sand particle world is completely developed, proof that this secret technique works, the other 2 true forms can consider cultivating it. Lin Yuan mused to himself. The reason for not letting the 2 true forms of Chaos Void and the first source world attempt to develop their particle worlds was because this secret technique consumed too many resources, potentially halting development halfway or just before completion, discovering the path was not viable. In that case, all prior investment would be wasted. But now, in this source world, Lin Yuan has already proven the feasibility of completely developing the particle world, so his other 2 true selves can naturally follow suit. Chaos Void. Lin Yuan's true self drifted along with the Chaos Qi. Just at this moment, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. Develop the particle world. With a slight movement of thought, the particle worlds within his body started to be developed. For thousands of years, Lin Yuan traveled across various parts of the Chaos Void, collecting an immense amount of resources. Many secret realms that even great saints could not discover, and remnants of inheritance from postnatal universes opened by peerless great saints throughout history. All were entirely looted by Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan even made several trips to dimensional gaps to gather many precious resources outside the Chaos Void, preparing for the development of his own particle world. The Chaos Void is not the second source world and has not yet been tainted by demonic qi. Numerous secret realms constantly emerge, allowing resource collection. Over the years, combined with acquiring some from those special places, barely enough has been gathered. The first source world. Lin Yuan similarly began developing his own particle world. Compared to the Chaos Void, where he needed to find resources himself, acquiring resources in this source world is much simpler for his true self. Owning the top-tier treasure land, Golden Mist Treasure Land, Lin Yuan only needs to sell the rare treasures produced here to continuously harvest various resources. The Golden Mist produced by the Golden Mist Treasure Land has the ability to transform the constitution of life towards a time-based nature, eventually granting a brief foresight into the future upon complete transformation. Though it's far inferior to the direct future vision of a Tier 13 time life form. Yet for those heavenly venerates and peak venerables, this ability is undoubtedly highly coveted. Through this attraction, the heavenly venerates and peak venerables of the 6 ancient realms exhausted themselves to exchange their savings for some golden mist from Lin Yuan. To accelerate resource collection, Lin Yuan went further by pre-selling the golden mist produced by the treasure land for the next 10 trillion years. Pre-selling the treasure land's rare items entails great risks for other heavenly venerates, but the reputation of Galaxy Venerate is naturally trustworthy. It is precisely because of this reputation that Lin Yuan could directly pre-sell the golden mist produced over the next 10 trillion years. After all, Lin Yuan is on the verge of Tier 13, not interested in this fragmentary foresight ability. Using it to exchange for resources to develop the particle world is very worthwhile. With this method, Lin Yuan quickly and effortlessly gathered all the resources needed for the development of his particle world. The second source world. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged on a hill. The 8th physical body divine ability. Lin Yuan carefully perceived the interplay of fundamental forces deep within his bloodline. The incubation time of the 8th physical body divine ability exceeds the total incubation time of the previous 7, requiring over 10,000 years. At this moment, the incubation of Lin Yuan's 8th physical body divine ability is already nearing completion, ranging from a short 100 years to a long several thousand years before maturation. Incubating for 10,000 years. Who knows what power this divine ability holds? In this source world, ever since the great change of the heavens and earth, the physical body potential of all life has become terrifyingly vast. This is the primary reason Lin Yuan's incubation of physical body divine ability takes over 10,000 years. The foundational nature of life's bloodline has transformed. The martial arts evolution road's ability to incubate physical body divine ability can lock onto this change, forming divine skills. Continue to comprehend. Lin Yuan withdrew his thoughts, no longer focusing on the fundamental forces deep within his bloodline. Instead, he continued to comprehend the inheritance left behind by the Lord of Heaven Light, which aids in breaking the cycle of time. Comprehending for 10,000 years, even with only a small part of his mind focused on it, Lin Yuan has cultivated this inheritance to the 5th layer. He is only a hair's breadth away from fully understanding the 5th layer. Book of Inheritance Space. Lin Yuan continued listening. Under the dome of the sky, the Lord of Heaven Light stood tall, radiating boundless light, warm and comforting, making Lin Yuan feel like he was soaked in a hot spring. The 5th layer of this inheritance lies in the heart, in the thought, where the heart and thought reach becomes a rune, without external aid. The Lord of Heaven Light's expression was calm, with a smile, looking at Lin Yuan with a smile while explaining the nuances of the 5th layer. His eyes were gentle, filled with kindness, showing extraordinary compassion for all beings. What is the essence of life? The body? The soul? Neither, it is the mind. With the mind, one can be considered a complete being. Cultivating this inheritance to the fifth layer is to form runes based on the mind and thought. The Lord of Heaven Light smiled and said, "The so-called cycle of time tests life, tests the transformation of life towards time life, and since it tests life, it inevitably contains mind and thought. Therefore, the rune Tao cannot be completely banned. For as long as there is thought, there will be runes." Lin Yuan listened intently, accompanying his continued comprehension of the words spoken by Lord of Heaven Light. He formed runes with his mind within this space of the book. Under the dome of the sky, the Lord of Heaven Light continued to speak. This is the unique aspect of this inheritance. Only by comprehending the current portion can one listen to the subsequent parts. Soon, Lin Yuan reached the conclusion of his comprehension. Under the dome of the sky, the Lord of Heaven Light, who radiated boundless light, paused his speech for a moment. "Future cultivator, since you can hear to this point, you must be on the verge of fully understanding the inheritance I created." His gaze remained gentle, calm and unhurried, smiling as he said, "Next, I will explain my understanding of runes." What are runes? They encompass all. The path I have pursued is rooted in runes, consisting of two aspects. His eyes remained gentle as he gazed at Lin Yuan and continued, "One aspect is who I am now, while the other—" As he spoke, his aura slowly began changing. The warm light illuminating everything faded, replaced by endless deep demonic chi. The Lord of Heaven Light's appearance also transformed, his white robe turning into a black robe, which seemed to contain infinite darkness. His gentle smile gradually vanished, replaced by a cold expression. A black horn grew from his head, and a thick, pitch-black giant tail swayed behind him. Lin Yuan looked at the entirely different Lord of Heaven Light, his expression slightly chilled. Demonic chi drifted, exuding an endless dark aura, in stark contrast to the previous blinding light. Lin Yuan looked up at the Lord of Heaven Light, falling into a brief silence. At this moment, the Lord of Heaven Light was almost indistinguishable from the rampaging demon god outside. The only difference was that the demon god's gaze was hollow. But now, the Lord of Heaven Light was incomparably indifferent, unrelated to hollow. The demon god is the Lord of Heaven Light? Lin Yuan arrived at a definite conclusion. Having witnessed the transformation of the Lord of Heaven Light into the demon god, if Lin Yuan was still uncertain, he would indeed be foolish. In fact, Lin Yuan had previously speculated whether the so-called demon god was actually one of this world's eternal lords, or simply the Lord of Heaven Light, but this speculation had not been deepened. After all, how could the mental will of such a powerful temporal being as the Lord of Heaven Light be eradicated and driven by instinct? Temporal beings see through multiple future timelines. Erasing the mental will of such a being is incredibly difficult, let alone for a being like the Lord of Heaven Light, who might be a Time Lord. Not to mention erasing a Time Lord's mental will. As soon as the thought arises in your mind, numerous future timelines spin out, and it's likely seen by the Time Lord, who would then take the first move. Why did the 5 other ancestors of the first source world apart from the ancestor of Fierce Sun have such attitudes towards Lin Yuan? Is it because they are inherently kind? Naturally not, but because they realized they had no way to prevent Lin Yuan's rise. Any timeline where Lin Yuan could be snuffed out successfully is a battle between the 6 ancestors, where the ancestor of Fierce Sun would definitely protect Lin Yuan. But the other ancestors might not share this thought. No wonder the Eternal Lords didn't disclose the real reason for the disaster's arrival. Lin Yuan appeared thoughtful. Who is the Lord of Heaven Light? He was the first Eternal Lord of this Feng Yuan world, who laid the foundation for the rune cultivation system. In the beginning of heaven and earth's creation, the Lord of Heaven Light enlightened all sentient beings, and it can be said that the 13 Eternal Lords born later were all beneficiaries of his grace. Without the Lord of Heaven Light, the number of 13 Eternal Lords would be substantially reduced, and the cultivation system of this world could never reach the flourishing state before the great change in heaven and earth. It can be said that, in the hearts of all sentient beings, including the disciples of the significant eternal sects, there is a special sentiment towards the Lord of Heaven Light, both reverent and intimate, reaching a degree of fervent faith. Once it is known that the source of the world-ending disaster originates from the Lord of Heaven Light, it is likely that many strong individuals would be thrown into mental turmoil, losing the resolve to resist the disaster. It is precisely out of this consideration that the Eternal Lords left no information and kept absolute secrecy for the eternal sects they founded. Perhaps the Eternal Lords also do not want all beings to know about the Lord of Heaven Light's transformation into the destructive demon god. Lin Yuan sighed inwardly. Undoubtedly, the 13 Eternal Lords were also grateful for the guidance of the Lord of Heaven Light. Such a being, appearing in front of all beings as an infinitely bright figure, the 13 Eternal Lords possibly do not wish to see the Lord of Heaven Light reviled and resented by all beings. Why did the Lord of Heaven Light's mental will ultimately disappear? Was it eradicated or due to other circumstances? Lin Yuan pondered. Until now, he was uncertain whether the Lord of Heaven Light was alive or dead. But at least one thing was clear: the other had not foreseen their own body becoming an instinctual threat to the source world. Otherwise, they should have made preparations in advance, such as temporarily sealing the body and waiting for the mental will to return, and so on. But for a temporal being suspected to be a Time Lord to not foresee their future in this way, the levels involved in this are likely extremely secretive even at the 13th tier of temporal being. Let it be. Whether the Lord of Heaven Light is the demon god has little to do with me. Lin Yuan shook his head. He felt no special sentiment towards the Lord of Heaven Light, just a degree of admiration. What of the other's image? Savior or destructive demon god? Neither affects Lin Yuan. Beneath the heavens, the Lord of Heaven Light, now transformed into the demon god, continued to speak. I laid the foundations with rune, creating two true forms, one of light, the other of the black demon. Naturally, the power of the light form surpasses the black demon form considerably. Lin Yuan listened quietly. Below the level of temporal beings, there is no concept of two true forms. Lin Yuan too, by using the power of the Myriad Realms Gate, at the cost of a small part of his mental will, achieved the present three true forms of his original self. What is a true form? The true form is singular. Everything else besides the true form is a clone. There is a causal relationship between the true form and the clones. However, between true forms, they are completely independent entities without causality. If not seeing with his own eyes the transformation of the Lord of Heaven Light into the demon god, Lin Yuan would not have affirmed the two belonged to the same life. Lin Yuan comprehended the rune legacy left by the Lord of Heaven Light, which created a slight causal relationship. Having battled with the demon god, he also established a new causality. But these two causations are entirely independent. This is one of the reasons why Lin Yuan had not previously suspected the demon god was the Lord of Heaven Light. The rune Tao encompasses all things. I believe that reaching the ultimate level, one can achieve omnipotence. The Lord of Heaven Light's tone fluctuated. Omnipotence. Lin Yuan appeared deeply thoughtful. The ultimate pursuit of this eternal Lord, the Lord of Heaven Light, is omnipotence, through rune omnipotence. Alright, this heritage ends here. To be able to view up to this point means you have thoroughly comprehended this level, and have not yet become an eternal Lord. Congratulations. There's a high possibility you will become an eternal Lord. The Lord of Heaven Light smiled and said, if you are already an eternal Lord, then comprehending this level will also be helpful for the path of runes in the future, and should offer some benefits in consolidating your past, present, and future timelines. Lin Yuan quietly listened. This heritage left by the Lord of Heaven Light has never been fully comprehended, even by many eternal lords. As for those beings below the eternal Lord, to this day, none have appeared. Even Lin Yuan took more than 10,000 years to fully comprehend it, by merging numerous heritages from the Feng Yuan world, leveraging against heaven's understanding, and operating the rules of several dimension space great Taos. What do other beings use to comprehend it? Actually, I envy you very much. The Lord of Heaven Light's face showed a smile. At this moment, he was in the form of a demon god, and the smile appeared somewhat ferocious. Breaking through to an eternal Lord, there is still a direction to strive for. The time cycle is not absolute. The heritage I established can mildly break the constraints of the time cycle. Some special heritages or methods in infinite dimensional space can have similar effects. Although fully comprehending and mastering it is very difficult, at least there is hope, and one can approach in this direction. Even if one ultimately doesn't reach it, it still provides some help for oneself. The Lord of Heaven Light's expression was complicated. But for me to take that step, it's no longer a matter of hope or not hope. Life forms of time wanting to transform to the perfect actually set their fate at the beginning of their path of cultivation. It either can or cannot. No matter how much effort is put in, it still cannot. The Lord of Heaven Light slightly shook his head. And before making that leap, no life form of time can know for certain whether they can or cannot. The future timeline fundamentally cannot touch the 14th rank level. Lin Yuan listened attentively to the Lord of Heaven Light's discourse, especially the last few sentences, which mentioned a bit of information about the transformation of time life forms to perfect time beings. It either can or cannot? Cannot, no matter how much effort is put in, it still cannot? Lin Yuan frowned slightly, able to sense the helplessness in the Lord of Heaven Light as he spoke these words. He carried a sense of being shrouded by destiny, a feeling of predestination. Yet, playing with destiny is exactly what time life forms do, observing countless timelines, choosing the future they want, but ultimately, they are still bound by destiny. So, stepping into the 14th rank has no threshold, and any 13th rank peak can attempt it, but whether they succeed or not is another matter? From the few words of the Lord of Heaven Light, Lin Yuan drew some conclusions. This is completely different from breaking through from the 12th rank to the 13th rank. The biggest threshold for breaking through from the 12th rank to the 13th rank is the time cycle. Yet the time cycle is not without countermeasures. Putting aside the heritage left by the Lord of Heaven Light, the very path of heritage evolution and anchoring the anchor beyond can aid in breaking through the time cycle. But from the 13th rank to the 14th rank? It was determined from the very beginning of the cultivation path. No turning back, no changing. And according to the information Lin Yuan currently knows, 14th rank perfect time beings are exceedingly rare. More accurately, it's not that their numbers are rare, but whether they even exist at all is another question. At least through many traversals, Lin Yuan has come in contact or heard a bit about some time life forms. And through each time life form, he also learned about more time life forms, but a perfect time being? It is only known that at this level of life, they wander through past, present, and future, able to designate the future they want. If they are dissatisfied with the future, they can forcibly change it by going to the past, creating the future they desire. But up to now, whether there has been any definite perfect time being, Lin Yuan has never heard of. Even the 6 ancestors of the first source world have not heard of it. The only thing Lin Yuan can be certain of related to the 14th rank perfect time beings is the projection of the Myriad Realms Gate in the depths of his mind. The Myriad Realms Gate jumps out of the timeline and cannot be observed by time life forms. Just this characteristic matches a perfect time being. It's over. Lin Yuan looked at the Lord of Heaven Light's figure gradually disappearing below the firmament. He was somewhat emotional. Completely comprehending such a heritage unexpectedly revealed the truth of the demon scourge. An unexpected gain indeed. Test space. The avatar left by Lin Yuan opened its eyes. The azure book floating in front of him slowly descended, and the light emanating from within completely dimmed. You! The golden figure's eyes widened. You thoroughly comprehended this heritage? The Azure Book is one of the original heritages created by the Lord of Heaven Light. After any life fully comprehends it, the book itself will immerse for a period, at which point the light disappears. Yes. Lin Yuan nodded. After comprehending this heritage, Lin Yuan's understanding of runes had reached an unbelievable level. Every thought in his mind was of runes, able even to briefly bind timelines for future viewing. With Lin Yuan's current level of runic attainment, he possessed some characteristics of time life forms observing future timelines. It's incomparable to true time life forms, but the future timelines he sees are much clearer than those observed with the Sky Void tripod. One by one, timelines gradually unfolded before Lin Yuan's eyes, observing various future scenarios. Pervert. The golden figure looked at Lin Yuan, momentarily unsure how to comment. Even though he saw the scene of Lin Yuan and the demon god in direct conflict, the heritage left by the Azure Book was comprehended by Lin Yuan, which even many Eternal Lords could not understand. Why didn't the great master of Wushan? The golden figure appeared slightly puzzled. Given Lin Yuan's current performance, the great master of Wushan, having foreseen future timelines, how could he not leave any arrangements? Beyond the source world, in a vast space-time with infinite light, 13 towering figures stood silently, on the one hand resisting the all-encompassing light, while on the other trying to observe many future timelines as much as possible. Eternal Lord, all are eternal lords. Master of Wushan's eyes were filled with shock, discovering through observing more timelines that the one called Galaxy could all become an eternal lord. This galaxy bears some karma with me, and even obtained the heritage I left in the test space? Master of Wushan was somewhat astonished. He had never seen such a certain future. Sooner in a few millennia, later in tens of thousands of years, this galaxy can become an eternal lord, and shortly thereafter, will become a Time Lord, closing and consolidating its own timeline. Master of Black Space spoke, his gaze equally shaken. Since recently noticing Lin Yuan's uniqueness, the 13 Eternal Lords undertook different responsibilities. Some Eternal Lords tried to observe more timelines to see if the galaxy in other timelines could become an Eternal Lord. Other Eternal Lords delved into certain timelines to judge to what extent this galaxy could ultimately grow. The results shocked all the Eternal Lords. Firstly, as of now, none of the many timelines observed showed a future where Lin Yuan had not become an Eternal Lord. Not to mention not becoming an Eternal Lord, there wasn't even a future where he became an Eternal Lord in 100,000 years. Secondly, delving into particular timelines, Lin Yuan's growth was incredibly swift, achieving becoming a Time Lord in a short time. Time Lord? This source world has existed for countless ages, with only one Time Lord known, the Lord of Heaven Light. And strictly speaking, the Lord of Heaven Light is not a native life of this source world. This is known by all the Eternal Lords. In other words, from the birth of this world until now, it hasn't birthed a single Time Lord. And this galaxy, after becoming an Eternal Lord, will in a short time walk a path that none of the Eternal Lords has yet completed? Inconceivable. Unheard of. Unimaginable. One Eternal Lord after another spoke, expressing their feelings. As time life forms, they have seen countless future timelines, no matter how surreal. But for someone like Lin Yuan, if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't believe it at all. The Master of Infinite gazed distantly at the source world and said, "Gentlemen, I plan to return once, to meet that galaxy friend." Although in many future timelines, the Master of Infinite judged that Lin Yuan wasn't difficult to get along with. Yet in a more distant future, even we, the Eternal Lords, would still need to rely on him. Therefore, meeting in advance to build a good relationship is extremely important. In the future timeline where Lin Yuan exists, the so-called demon calamity could basically be overcome. So what the Eternal Lords consider is how to coexist with Lin Yuan after the demon calamity ends. Return once. The Master of Black Space, Master of Wushan, and other Eternal Lords' expressions slightly changed. Returning to the source world requires crossing the barrier separating light and demonic paths. When the world changed dramatically, the Eternal Lords exhausted many isolation techniques to restrain the Light Lord's bright body, creating a stalemate here. Doing so not only contained the Light Lord's bright body but also locked themselves entirely to this place. But nothing is absolute. At the level of the Eternal Lords, there are countless methods, and escaping this lock to briefly return to the source world isn't impossible. It just requires a tremendous price. Moreover, even if returning to the source world, it would only be a conscious avatar, unable to rival the Light Lord's black demon body. Therefore, it is basically meaningless. Previously, the 13 Eternal Lords never had this thought. But now, even at a huge cost, As long as one can return to the source world and establish contact with that galaxy in advance, any cost is worth it. As time lifeforms, what they see and plan is not limited to the present but the distant future. Perhaps paying a huge price to return, in the short term, seems disadvantageous. But over an extended timeline, as long as they can befriend Lin Yuan, make good with the future Time Lord, what is this cost? Furthermore, Lin Yuan is absolutely not an ordinary Time Lord. With such an almost certain future life, the origin is so significant, the 13 Eternal Lords dare not think deeply. I will also return. Since Infinite is going back, then I will return too. Upon hearing this, the other 12 Eternal Lords immediately made up their minds. If the Master of Infinite had not brought this up, some Eternal Lords might have hesitated due to the large cost. But since the Master of Infinite plans to return, other Eternal Lords could naturally only follow. Otherwise, if 12 Eternal Lords returned to get acquainted with Galaxy, and only one did not go, many opportunities in future timelines would likely have nothing to do with them. Chaos Void. Lin Yuan's true body sat cross-legged, surrounded by drifting chaos chi, accompanied by the continuous opening of infinite constant sand particle worlds within his body. Lin Yuan's aura grew increasingly profound, like an unprecedented massive black hole, instinctively devouring all void chaos in all directions. Runes? Lin Yuan hadn't invested much thought in opening particle worlds. In the second source world, he had already traversed it once, and now it was merely a repetition, naturally effortless and relaxed. At this moment, Lin Yuan's focus was on the application of runes. Time! With a slight thought, numerous tiny runes condensed in his mind, forming miniature timelines, stretching towards the future. Reaching the level of thought becomes rune. Lin Yuan's mastery of runes seemed instinctual. Likewise, watching timelines. Although far from as clear as true time lifeforms or the number of timelines seen, this feeling of absolute control over timelines still captivated him. Future. Lin Yuan looked at one of his future timelines. In this timeline, Lin Yuan transformed into a true time lifeform in 8,000 years and then began exploring the dimensions beyond the chaos void. Thereafter, as Lin Yuan continued his deep observation, he felt a certain resistance. The farther I observe the timeline, the more resistance I encounter. I am not yet a true time lifeform, and even if I forge another path, I can watch time life, but not for long. Lin Yuan thought silently. However, once I step into the 13th stage, with my understanding of the Rune Dao and the transformation of my life's essence, the timelines I see, in both number and depth, should far exceed other newly promoted time lifeforms. Lin Yuan thought quietly to himself. Without yet being a time lifeform, he could try watching timelines on his own. If he becomes a time lifeform, the enhancement he receives would surely far exceed other newly promoted time lifeforms. But my future! Lin Yuan spent more than half a day observing dozens of his own timelines and discovered, just as the 6 ancestors had said, that in every timeline he stepped into the 13th layer and became a time life. What on earth is the reason for this? Lin Yuan was puzzled in his heart. As his realm and strength improved, he increasingly realized the difficulty of breaking through from the 12th layer to the 13th layer. Breaking through the time loop is not a certainty. At most, it just increases the possibility of breaking through, but for him, it is inevitable. Is it related to the Myriad Realms Gate? Lin Yuan speculated in his heart. Or, even the time loop cannot block the Myriad Realms Gate? Lin Yuan expanded on his numerous associations. Of course, these were all just Lin Yuan speculations. As for whether they are true or not, only falling into a time loop would reveal them. With my current foundation, even without relying on the Myriad Realms Gate, the possibility of breaking through the time loop is very, very high. Lin Yuan thought to himself, cultivators practicing the martial arts evolution road are spread across dozens of dimensional spaces, and the sheer number they form the anchor is absolutely astounding. Secondly, with the inheritance left by the Lord of Heaven Light, Lin Yuan's use of runes has reached the level where he can think and it becomes reality. Even if deeply trapped in a time loop, he could cheat to a certain extent. Lastly, there is Lin Yuan's against heaven's understanding. For 10,000 years, Lin Yuan has comprehended the myriad Great Tao rules, involving such a vast scope that it is estimated that even real-time lives cannot compare with him. Once deeply trapped in a time loop, even facing tests he has never encountered before, mastering them becomes easy as he gains more strategies to respond. Lin Yuan really wants to know, just how long can a time loop trap him? Everything Lin Yuan's gaze fell upon was runes, and he quickly saw through most of the essence of the Chaos Void. Is that where the 13th layer time lives of the Chaos Void typically reside? Relying on the power of runes, Lin Yuan discovered that there are 7 places with long-lasting auras in the Chaos Void that he could not yet fully understand, deducing that they must be the time lives of the Chaos Void. 7 time lives? Lin Yuan pondered. This was the first time he knew the number of time lives in the Chaos Void. The Chaos Void has dozens of special places, but that doesn't mean there are dozens of time lives. Each time life observes potential risks of the Chaos Void and establishes multiple special places to compensate. Chaos Void is not a source world, yet the number of time lives it can produce is not small. Lin Yuan couldn't help but sigh. The first source world's time lives only number 6, who are the 6 ancestors. Of course, this is because the first source world hasn't existed long enough to nurture new time lives. I can attempt to reach the 13th layer at any time now. Lin Yuan collected his thoughts, faintly feeling strands of time power swirling around him. This is because Lin Yuan's life essence is so powerful that the power of time clings to him actively. As soon as Lin Yuan decides to reach the 13th layer by enhancing his life essence, these time powers will immediately form a loop to trap him. I'll wait until I've fully opened the particle world. Lin Yuan gently shook his head. In the dozen or so future timelines he had just seen, the soonest he attempted to reach the 13th layer was also several thousand years later. Since his future self did it that way, there must be a reason for it, and he saw no need to deliberately go against it. At least the results of those futures all had him successfully reaching the 13th layer. If he went against it, new timelines could be born, leading to variables in his reaching the 13th layer. That would indeed give Lin Yuan a headache. The second source world. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. In the distance, faint demonic chi could be seen. Demon God. Lin Yuan pondered. The so-called demon god is the black demon body forged by the Lord of Heaven Light. So what about his light body? This thought had just arisen. Lin Yuan already had the answer in his heart. The light body of the Lord of Heaven Light has been held back by the Eternal Lords. Since the Great Change began, the Eternal Lords all disappeared simultaneously, and the light body of the Lord of Heaven Light also vanished without a trace. The demonic chi enveloping the entire source world all originates from the black demon body of the Lord of Heaven Light, which is the demon god, yet the light body never appeared. The simultaneous disappearance of the Eternal Lords and the light body of the Lord of Heaven Light. The reason is self-evident. According to the Lord of Heaven Light, his light body is slightly superior to the black demon body in power. Lin Yuan thought in his heart. I suppose the 13 Eternal Lords are now stalemated with the light body of the Lord of Heaven Light. If the 13 Eternal Lords had suppressed the light body, they should have long returned by now. If they hadn't suppressed it but were instead suppressed by the light body of the Lord of Heaven Light, then the light body should also have returned. Lord of Heaven Light. Lin Yuan once again felt the power of this Eternal Lord. Under the premise of losing mental will, his 2 true bodies respectively held back the entire source world and the 13 Eternal Lords. At this moment, buzz 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 the surrounding space-time surged, and an ocean-like consciousness descended near Lin Yuan. Each ocean-like consciousness condensed into towering figures, forming 13 figures standing quietly there. The appearance of these 13 figures caused the entire source world to tremble, infinite demonic chi began to churn, and the presence of the demon god started to coagulate again. What is this? Lin Yuan was shocked, looking at the 13 towering figures not far away. The leading towering figure wore a smile, gazing benevolently at Lin Yuan. Infinite greets the young friend. Secret world. Several sect masters and many sect leaders are chatting idly. Ever since Lin Yuan confronted and repelled the demon god, their pressure has significantly eased. At least they no longer worry about the source demons or even the demon god. Their own strongholds will not be on the brink of collapse anytime soon. If it weren't for the demonic chi still permeating the outside world, several sect masters would even feel that the demon catastrophe might have completely passed. Lord Galaxy is actually not yet an eternal lord. So terrifying, the demon god's last attack seemed capable of easily shaking this world, yet it was easily blocked by Lord Galaxy. Indeed, if it weren't for Lord Galaxy, even if the demon god unleashed his full force upon this world, possessing multiple eternal treasures, it still couldn't withstand for long. Several sect masters and many elders of the sects remain immersed in the battle between Lin Yuan and the demon god. To face and withstand a demon god comparable to an eternal lord without being one himself, since the creation of this world, this is a first and likely a one-time occurrence. Luckily, I decided to present the eternal source to Lord Galaxy. Otherwise, we might still be under the demon god's attack. The sect master of the Eternal Infinite sect felt slightly proud. Yes, yes, yes. The other sect masters immediately nodded. Actually, among them there were opposing views at the time. After all, giving the eternal source to Lin Yuan, what if he failed to block the demon god? This secret world might have soon faced destruction. However, as things stand now, the decision of the sect master of the Eternal Infinite sect directly saved this secret world and even reversed the current situation between demons and cultivators. I'm not sure if the majestic Eternal Lords are aware of Lord Galaxy's existence and how they will face it. One of the sect masters was quite curious. In theory, the Eternal Lords are aloof and indifferent to lives below the 13th tier, whether strong or weak. Even concerning their established eternal sects, they only care about the whole rather than individuals. For the Eternal Lords, as long as the eternal sect is not annihilated, it is acceptable. But Lin Yuan? With the strength Lin Yuan has shown, even the Eternal Lords cannot ignore him. These are matters for the majestic Eternal Lords. Another sect master shook his head, about to continue speaking. At this moment, buzz in the secret world, multiple eternal treasures seemed to sense something, vibrating together as the aura of eternity quickly spread. Several sect masters appeared shocked. The eternal treasures are left by the Eternal Lords, and their true owners are the Eternal Lords, with the sect masters only utilizing them through the Lord's methods. Now, several eternal treasures have spontaneously revived, sensing traces of their true owner's presence. This means the Eternal Lords, who disappeared after the great shift of heaven and earth, have reappeared in this world. The Eternal Lords, the great Eternal Lords, have returned? Some sect leaders were moved to tears, while several sect masters were equally excited. Many elder disciples born after the great change of heaven and earth have never truly seen their own Eternal Lords. A moment later, the secret world remains the same. Several eternal treasures slowly calmed down. This left several sect masters and sect leaders puzzled. Where are the great Eternal Lords? If they have returned, why not enter the secret world? This secret world was created jointly by the Eternal Lords, so should they return, they would definitely first come back here. Perhaps, the great Eternal Lords have gone to attend to more important matters. The sect master of the Eternal Infinite sect pondered aloud, already having a hunch that the appearance of the Eternal Lords is related to the battle between Lin Yuan and the demon god. It is quite possible that their return this time is simply to see Lord Galaxy. Lin Yuan stared at the 13 towering figures standing not far away, with auras not very strong, likely mere consciousness embodiments. But Lin Yuan immediately realized their identities, especially since the leading figure smiled, claiming to be infinite. The 13 Eternal Lords of the Feng Yuan world. Lin Yuan's expression turned slightly solemn, for these are 13 time beings. While Lin Yuan's current confrontational strength indeed matches that of a time being, the strongest aspect of a time being is not their combat power, but their ability to make choices regarding the future. In terms of foreseeing future timelines, Lin Yuan is still far inferior to a genuine time being. Wu Shan greets the young friend. Black space greets the young friend. As the Master of Infinite spoke, the remaining 12 Eternal Lords also greeted with smiles in turn. Greetings to the esteemed Eternal Lords. Lin Yuan promptly replied. After comprehending the legacy left by the Lord of Heaven Light, Lin Yuan speculated that the disappearance of the 13 Eternal Lords of this Feng Yuan world was likely to restrain the most powerful light form of the Lord of Heaven Light. Without these 13 Eternal Lords, this source world would have long been eroded. Lin Yuan would have been immediately contaminated upon arrival. If not for the young friend, the secret world we left behind would likely not have lasted much longer. The Master of Infinite smiled as he looked at Lin Yuan. It was also because of me that the demon god got enraged. Lin Yuan shook his head. This is the truth as well. To the demon god, if not for discovering that a large number of source demons were hunted by Lin Yuan, he might not have attacked the secret world and instead focused on suppressing the source world consciousness. It's all the same. The Master of Black Space shook his head. Even if the young friend did not hunt the source demons, that demon god would eventually target the secret world. It was just a matter of time. Lin Yuan smiled. The Eternal Lords can observe numerous future timelines. Many things cannot be concealed from them. Originally, we were almost in despair, having observed billions of future timelines, and the final result in all of them was the demon god destroying everything. The Master of Wushan looked at Lin Yuan with a complicated expression. Only in a few timelines did the Feng Yuan world give birth to a new Eternal Lord, but compared to the countless timelines they observed, those few timelines had too low a probability. Even they, as beings of time, felt despair. But your appearance, my young friend, has entirely ended the demon disaster, saving all beings in this world. The Master of Infinite said. I haven't yet ended the demon disaster. The demon god still exists, and the demonic chi hasn't stopped its erosion. Lin Yuan immediately said. Although he had repelled the demon god, it was more like the demon god retreated on its own, finding it meaningless to fight Lin Yuan, and instead focused on suppressing the consciousness of the source world. It's only a matter of time, the Master of Infinite said. The other 12 Eternal Lords heard this and none of them refuted. During this time, they observed one timeline after another and found that Lin Yuan was almost destined to become an Eternal Lord, making the end of the demon disaster indeed only a matter of time. Only a matter of time? Lin Yuan understood in his heart, knowing that the 13 time beings must have watched his future timelines. And indeed, once Lin Yuan ascends to the 13th stage, the first thing he will do is surely clear away the demonic chi and eradicate the demon god. In Lin Yuan's eyes, the Feng Yuan world is akin to his base, and in such circumstances, he naturally doesn't want there to be unstable factors like the demonic chi and the demon god. Lin Yuan's main reason for ending the demon disaster is for himself. As for saving all beings, it happens along the way. But young friend, there is something else you need to pay attention to. The Master of Infinite looked at Lin Yuan. You don't need to provoke that demon god for now. Wait until you reach the 13th stage and then take action. In many of the future timelines observed by the Master of Infinite, the time it takes for Lin Yuan to become an Eternal Lord ranges from 10,000 years to 100,000 years. Why would Lin Yuan in a certain timeline ascend to the 13th stage after 100,000 years? It is because, in that timeline, Lin Yuan attempted to end the demon disaster and suppress the demon god before reaching the 13th stage. The result was a fierce resistance from the demon god, and in the ensuing battle, Lin Yuan suffered some effects, his mind and will being eroded to a certain extent. Although it was not a major problem, it took tens of thousands of years to completely eliminate this erosion. These are all things the Master of Infinite saw from future timelines, knowing what Lin Yuan might do in the future, and naturally, he immediately reminded him to avoid continuing down the wrong path. Yes, young friend. There's no rush to eliminate the demon disaster. That demon god wants to completely suppress the consciousness of the source world. It's still far off, no rush, no rush. Yes, first ascend to the 13th stage and become an Eternal Lord. Then talk. The Master of Wushan and the Master of Black Space said one after another. The strength of a 13th stage time being lies in being able to choose the future most advantageous to oneself. Oh, Lin Yuan felt a slight movement in his heart. Currently, he can also observe future timelines, but it's far from what a true time being can do, and he didn't see the timeline where he takes action against the demon god early. Understood. Lin Yuan nodded. He indeed has thoughts of seeking out the demon god for further sparring, of course just thoughts, without any concrete plans to implement them. But with the reminders from the Eternal Lords, Lin Yuan immediately realized that this approach might carry a price. You, young friend, are indeed powerful, almost not much weaker than us, but after all, you're not a time being. With only straightforward offensive capabilities, it's easy to be calculated against when facing those powerful time beings. The Master of Infinite said, only by becoming an Eternal Lord, not only can you see more possible futures, but you can also avoid other time beings from peering into you. To peer into the future of an existence that is not a time being, and to peer into the future of a time being, the difficulty is worlds apart. The Master of Infinite said, unless the power difference is too great, it's difficult for beings of the same level of time to directly observe each other's clear future timelines, typically deducing through indirect observation. Once reaching the level of a Time Lord, one begins to collect and seal their own timeline, turning it into their domain, completely preventing other time beings from spying. And reaching the 14th stage level, one jumps out of the timeline altogether, leaving no traces in the past, present, or future. Lin Yuan nodded. Theoretically, other time beings wouldn't dare to plot against Lin Yuan's future at all. But what if an accident occurs? With the means of time beings, it's not easy to plot against someone, but once they start plotting, it indicates they have a fairly good chance. Only by becoming an Eternal Lord, becoming a time being, do you have the qualification to attempt to explore a multitude of dimensional spaces and compete with the time beings of other dimensions. The Master of Black Space said. In the time that followed, the 13 Eternal Lords conversed with Lin Yuan one after another. The friendliness in their words almost overflowed. Lin Yuan knew this well and was happy to see it. It's always better to have another friend than another enemy. Even if Lin Yuan ascends to the 13th stage and becomes a time being, he is happy to make friends with other time beings. Young friend, having fought with the demon god, what do you think? The Master of Black Space asked. Very powerful, Lin Yuan said. The demon god is indeed very powerful. Without using any secret techniques or divine skills, relying solely on physical instinct to fight with Lin Yuan head-on. Moreover, Lin Yuan faintly speculated afterward that the demon god he fought against was not in its peak state. Part of the demon god's power transformed into endless demonic chi, spreading throughout the entire source world. The demon god's true peak state is after gathering all the demonic chi. But when the demonic chi is gathered, it cannot continue to erode the source world. Are you curious about the origin of the demon god, young friend? The Master of Black Space looked at Lin Yuan. The demon god is the black demon body of the Lord of Heaven Light? Lin Yuan directly said. As soon as he said this, the other Eternal Lords were slightly surprised. Regarding the true identity of the demon god, only these Eternal Lords knew. Life below the Eternal Lord level was completely unaware, only knowing that the demon god was one of the sources of the demon disaster. Have you already comprehended the legacy left by the Lord of Heaven Light, young friend? The Master of Wushan's thoughts flashed, receiving critical information from the test space he had constructed. The Lord of Heaven Light had two true bodies, the bright body and the black demon body. All along, the Lord of Heaven Light had shown only the bright body to the outside world. As for the black demon body, before the great change in the world occurred, even some of the Eternal Lords were unaware of it. The black demon body was one of the hidden means of the Lord of Heaven Light, only mentioned in a few created legacies. That legacy, have you comprehended it, young friend? The Eternal Lords, including the Master of Infinite, looked surprised, as many of them hadn't fully comprehended it. But thinking of Lin Yuan's almost certain future, and his current strength comparable to a standard Eternal Lord, the time beings present immediately understood. On Lin Yuan, no matter how unbelievable it seemed, it appeared quite normal. Yes, the demon god is indeed the black demon body of the Lord of Heaven Light, the master of black space said with emotion. The other eternal lords also fell silent. All these eternal lords had more or less received favors from the Lord of Heaven Light. Why did the Lord of Heaven Light become like this? Lin Yuan looked at the 13 eternal lords and asked his lingering doubt. As the black demon body of the Lord of Heaven Light, the demon god has no mind or will, and as for the bright body of the Lord of Heaven Light, it probably also lacks mind or will, otherwise the 13 eternal lords alone couldn't hold back the most powerful bright body. And if it were the normal Lord of Heaven Light, wanting to destroy this source world, it could have acted entirely at the beginning of the world's creation when the Lord of Heaven Light was the only eternal Lord. The Lord of Heaven Light. The Master of Infinite looked at Lin Yuan with surprise in his eyes. That, young friend, has to be told from a long, long time ago.